Hello everyone, hello all collective. On behalf of Vietnamese Society, Philippine Myanmar Society, and ISRRT support and GE Global and GE Vietnam support for online seminar. Everybody, every day you here stay at home, social distance. Every day you hear because it COVID-19 pandemic changes everything, change everyone in your life. Close border, every country close border, and our RT. To remember our RT direct the COVID-19 patient. How you protect for RT in your country? Every country different because in COVID-19 pandemic very new. Today we want to sharing experience in global. Now we spend 1 minute for listeners for silence. 1 minute for silence for our patient, our colleagues died by COVID-19. We spend 1 minute for silence. 1 minute start. Stop. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, our colleagues in the world. I want to give us some recommend for everybody. If you watch in webinar, you cannot because of something. Sometimes your internet is no internet is poor. You can go to YouTube. You please remember when you watch in YouTube, you please change resolution quality 720. And how you get the CME certificate. After finish the CME online seminar, after finish, you receive the one email, yes, no question. We have a 3 questions for you. You please reply for us. 20 hours. Remember, 20 hours you reply, you answer for us. If you know answer in 24 hours, I'm sorry, you cannot get the CME certificate. If you correct 2 questions, you can get the CME. If you only 1 question you correct, we are sorry you cannot get the CME certificate international. Now program, I want to introduce in chairman in today. The first Professor Hoàng Bình Lợi, and second in Bernard New World, Professor Hoàng Bình Lợi is Vice President Vietnam's Radiology Society. Bernard Newman, President of ISRRT. Natapom Pomnatan, Vice President ISRRT of Asia and Australia, and Chanchekri, a Director, ISRRT of Asia and Australia, and Mr. Tim Martin, President Myanmar Society. Bichi Luna is direct in Philippine Society. Banyales, President of Society of Philippines. And Dr. Phung Man Thang, he is a specialist in infection control in Vietnam Hospital. And me. And now I want to introduce for everybody in scheduled today. The first Donald Newman have a opening speech, and that after that, Professor Juan Miller, Vice President of Vietnam Radiology Society, give some imaging, check imaging X-ray and CT scan in COVID-19. After that, all speaker come from many countries, many society, from Australia, New York, US, America, Hong Kong, Macau, Thailand, Myanmar, Philippines, Vietnam, Japan, Korea. Every society have 10 minutes for sharing. Please sharing how you protect in your RT. After that, Napapon Ponapan, he have 10 minutes. He talked about in Thailand COVID-19 pandemic, how protect in Thailand RT, and he will have 10 minutes talk something about ISRT in Asia, ISRT Asia and Australia. The last, we have a Q&A, and around 12 o'clock Vietnam time, Q&A, we invite chairman, also non-manual also. You please on your camera, and on chairman please on your camera. But remember, please off the microphone. We can share some questions from the audience for you. And one recommend for audience. During speaker talking, you can chat box in YouTube and webinar. We will just, you can send us your question in chat box in YouTube and your webinar. We will summarize and we send to speaker and chairman, and they can answer for you. Thank you so much, everyone, and our college in the world. Now, I'm introduce President Donald Newman, President ISRT, opening speech today. Invited, yes, Donald Newman. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's evening here in Fargo, North Dakota, and I want to thank you for inviting me to participate in this wonderful Congress where we're talking about best practices from radiographers from around the world. I want to say hello from our board and let them know that we want to thank you for all the work that you are doing, and that we know and appreciate all the radiographers from around the world that are working on our patients as frontline professionals. We know that your knowledge, your care, and your efforts make a difference in patients' care all over the world. So we want everybody to stay safe, and I hope that we can take these best practices back home. I wanted to share with you and let you know that the ISRT has heard you when you ask for information on COVID. We have a COVID resource tab on the ISRT website where you will find best protective wear and ways to have best practice for all the modalities in radiology and a quick reference for x-ray. You will also find that the ISRT is representing your global voice with the WHO and the IAEA, and these two documents have been being developed and they should come out soon, so know that we are representing you with the WHO and the IAEA. Also, please join and check out our e-learning platform and look for the COVID education on CT and on radiography. And if you are looking for all the resources that the ISRT has, please go to the ISRT COVID page and you can have a snapshot of everything that is happening and what we are producing. So today I look forward to listening to my fellow experts around the world and learning from you on what best practices in your country. And thank you again for the invitation.
Thank you, Donald Newman. Okay, President. Thank you, President Donald Newman. Thank you, President of ISRT. You please, everybody, you remember. Thank you, ISRT. You can check in website. You can share some guideline how protect something about COVID for RT in the world. You please visit and download something and e-learning in website of ISRT. Thank you again, President of ISRT in Donald Newman. Now we introduce the speaker from in many countries. And the first I introduce Edward Chan from Hong Kong. He sharing some experience how protect for RT in COVID-19. We would like to invite Edward Chan. Thank you, Edward Chan.
Hey, thank you, Lord. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me quite clearly. So I just heard about we're going to have this online seminar and talking about how to protect our staff. I feel very anxious to share my experience with you. I know most of you are sharing about the protocol of your practice, so I will just talk about what are basic things about how to protect our staff. This is our PPE. Okay, so I'm going to start. This is my outline of my presentation. And I just share some simple information about the situation in Hong Kong. I think my colleagues from Hong Kong, Andrew, he will talking about more information of Hong Kong. So I just very brief information. Up to the May 3rd in about this epidemic, we have only about 1,000 Hong Kong people get infected, and 4 Hong Kong people because causing the death of Hong Kong people. And luckily, we know healthcare worker got infected during their working environment. It's very good record so far, I think. And most of the hospital and the department, they will doing some precaution for getting infection, just like taking a temperature and care about the health history in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong people. And sorry, I don't know why this my YouTube coming up. And actually, this is a simple policy applying in Hong Kong in China. Some people may know me. I'm working in China now, but basically I'm training in Hong Kong and still have connection in Hong Kong. And I also did some research about the infection of our healthcare worker outside Hong Kong and also the other side of the world. And from my research, I found that quite a lot of healthcare workers get infected during the practice. Just like in China, about 4% of the total infection is healthcare worker. In UK, it's 13.8. in Italy, also is a quite big epidemic center in Europe. They also have a 13.6 healthcare worker among the local infection case. These figures come from the last month. Okay, so we also have to looking for. I also have looking for how many kind of PPE we can have in our practice. In WHO and even China, they recommend 3 levels of precaution. One is level 1, level 2, and level 3. And the highest one is a level 3. Just like this figure, I think just like this picture is level 3 in a certain extent. In some people, the understanding level 2 is like this one. So the level 1 is just like simply just a normal working clothes with the mask. I think we have more information. Just Donna have told us that we have more document on our ISRT website, so we can check it. And I want to just share what happened in Hong Kong where we are using the PPE. In Hong Kong, just these 3 pictures are taken from the internet. This one is a respiratory doctor. He just wearing like this, very simple one, and go into the infection ward, the COVID-19 ward. And this picture is one of the radiographer. He posted a picture on the Facebook. I asked him the permission to show it to you. Just so you can see that we just have a face shield, surgical mask, and a head cap, and a very simple water repelling protection cloth, and become our so-called dirty team wearing clothes and going to work with the COVID-19 patient. And also, I want going to check what is going on the PPE outside Hong Kong. And because I work in China, I know something about China. In Wuhan, the epicenter in China, the pandemic center. So you can see that the picture. This is a picture taken from the COVID-19 handbook of the practice, something like that. You see that they're all wearing the cover all PPE. And you can see that they will use the N95 face shield, overshoes, and glove, and cover all. In Italy, I see some European, they also take the same practice, same. And but I can share some information with you. When the people using the cover all version PPE, they need, especially in China, I know that they will have to put on the diaper inside because later on I will show you this is quite difficult to use, and if you put it on and you have to work a long working hour, it's quite complicated. Okay, this is, I want to just compare both so-called the Hong Kong version, the simple version PPE, and the more so-called more protective version, just like the cover all PPE. Lin, would you please show the video, please? So this is a Hong Kong version. This is a Hong Kong version. So I can see that they just one glove, and this try to show into how they take off the PPE. So on the PPE, simply speaking, is quite nothing to argue because the sequence can be a little bit different. Okay, because everything should be clean. But when you see that in Hong Kong, this PPE is a little bit quite easy to off. And then after offering the PPE, they're going to clean the hand and off the face shield. Starting from the bottom to the top. Clean the hand again. And then off the mask. Okay, Lin, is enough. Can you show me the second one video clip, please? The last one is the Hong Kong practice. The next one is the China practice. I can say this is practicing in my And I can show you how a little bit the difference of using the cover-all PPE. You see, they will using the alcohol to clean their glove. It's quite different from the outside world. And then they will put on another glove for take off their shoes cover. And now they will take off their disposable first. And clean their glove again, not the hand. Glove, the first layer of glove, clean the glove again. That's the most important. You see how difficult to take off the cover-all PPE. See, if you just like, if you have urgent matter to take care outside the dirty zone, so you have to take off like this, slowly, especially you urgent toilet, something like that. This is the last part. You will see a little bit clumsy. You have to off one leg of the shoes. You see, it's going to fall down. Okay, Lynn, I think that's the finish, the video clips. Thank you. So I think everyone can compare the differences of using the simple version of PPE compared with the cover-all one. So these are some experience quite alarming me to share this kind of information. First of all, no healthcare worker was infected in the clinical environment during this epidemic. We use the cover-all version. Why I'm so concerned about this? Because during the SARS last time, it hit Hong Kong so hard. And during the very beginning of the SARS, some of our colleagues really wearing the cover-all version PPE, but seems to be, the result seems to be more people get infected, more healthcare workers get infected because of they are handling the PPE is not quite well, and you know that that's a little bit clumsy. So even now, no Hong Kong healthcare worker will use the cover-all version PPE. But some recommendation for you using the simple one PPE when really you need to use it. First of all, you have the separate shoes because we don't use the shoes cover. So if you during the clinical area, you're using one pair of the shoes, just keep it at the clinical area. Don't bring it back home. And after your work, you should have the shower before you go back home, so you can clean your body quite well before you're going to touch your family. And then the last one is very important, is the regular drill. Start from after SARS, from the 17 years ago, every year all the Hong Kong healthcare workers supposed to take the PPE drill, doing and dropping every year. I also introduced this into China in this way. So these are my presentation summary. First of all, I cannot define whether the simple PPE is better than the cover-all, but you have to decide with your hospital and the management. And but however, the user must understand the principle of universal precaution and have regular practice. Just like what I mentioned, we have to regular practice to put on the PPE. And another important thing is if you touch the area is suspicious contaminated, so you don't you have to clean your hand and don't touch your nose and eyes. And Just what I mentioned, the PPE draw my attention because of the SARS period. This is a very little experience to my colleagues in Hong Kong and even myself. And I saw my Chinese colleagues preparing the PPE for the cover all PPE. And when I see the practice, just like the video see, I don't feel safe when they use the same cover all PPE. But finally, I have just want to share my, before that, I feel also using the cover all PPEs is good during the very early stage of the SARS. But after the experience and after the training by my infection control unit and even my personal experience, it convinced me that simple version PPE, especially we working just like the liver, we have to do quite heavy duty work, help the patient lean up to take the chest X-ray and doing the X-ray inside the ICU. I think we need the simple PPE seems to be more convenient for us to do our work. So but you have to take to make your choice with your management and the hospital. Okay, I know the time's up now. Thank you. This is my photo is my tracking device when I'm doing the quarantine in Hong Kong. So thank you, Lord, allowing me to share my experience, and wish everyone to stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Thank you, Edward Chan from Hong Kong. I'm recommend for some speaker. Thank you so much. You remember one society, we try to 10 minutes. You remember when you looked ties up, you please go to a summarizer consultant, the end your presenter. And I'm also recommend for is chairman. The chairman, you play you when Q&A time, you can give a question for any society, any country. The chairman, please remember. Yeah. In King Mountain also, in Donan, Newman, and Nabapo also, you remember, you can give a question, you can have a question for in any society. One recommend for audience, you please give a question, your question in chat books, in YouTube and webinar, please now. We can send to a speaker or chairman at any time. Next, we would like to invite Jack Wilton from in Singapore. She can share how to protect information in Singapore in COVID-19. Thank you so much. Jack Wilton, please.
Hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can share your webcam. You can share your webcam.
Okay. Okay.
You're not yet.
Okay, good morning everyone. Yeah. I hope you all can hear me. All right.
Sorry. Check with you can share start your webcam. Webcam, you're not yet.
Okay.
You can say.
How?
Okay.
Better now?
Good.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. This morning, I'm going to share on the roles and safety of the radiological technologies and some of the measures that we have put in place to protect our patients, staff, and the healthcare system during this COVID-19 pandemic situation in Singapore. Okay, this is the content of my presentation. And I would like to start by my presentation by sharing on the COVID-19 situation in Singapore. Currently, we have about 26,000, almost 27,000 cases of COVID-19 are reported in Singapore as of yesterday, and almost 6,000 have been discharged, and about 19,000 are still in isolation facilities, and 21 deaths so far. So far, we do not have any radiographers who have been infected so far, and the first case of the COVID-19 in Singapore was confirmed on the 23rd of January, who is an imported case. And early cases found in February were primarily imported cases until the community transmission began to develop and increase in number. And we started the partial lockdown, or what we know as circuit breaker, on the 7th of April for 1 month, but it has now been extended for another month until 2nd of June. So most of these COVID cases currently are our foreign workers staying in the dormitories, and community cases have decreased in numbers after the implementation of the circuit breaker. As you can see, with the huge increase in confirmed number in Singapore, we need to increase our capacity for housing of these COVID cases that are either recovering or having mild symptoms in separate facilities so as to better utilize the resources in acute hospitals for serious cases. Patients who are clinically fit for discharge but are still COVID-19 positive will be isolated and cared for in these community facilities until they are tested negative. So community hospitals, army camps were initially converted to house these patients. However, as the cases increased to more than 10,000 cases, 3 community isolation facilities, such as using one of the resort, a convention center, and an exhibition center, were developed into community care isolation facilities. So these facilities are staffed by healthcare workers, including radiographers, to manage the mobile machines and ultrasound machines there. Well, at the hospitals, to cope with the increased cases of suspected or confirmed COVID-19 patients coming for treatment, emergency departments at major hospitals have also expanded their fever facilities to cope with the influx of patients. At the Singapore General Hospital, as you can see on the right side, a part of the multi-story car park have been converted to fever screening facilities, and at the National University Hospitals, which is the hospital I'm working at, the fever facility was extended outside the emergency department into the car park area. So this is the area, the extended fever facility area. Okay. So this is an example of one such facility, and inside the facility, there is an area for donning and doffing of the PPE, and then also you have all these patient cubicles where patients are held there till all the necessary investigation, such as X-ray, swab tests are done and reviewed by the doctors to decide on their management or discharge, so that they do not need to move around the hospitals and infect other patients. So full PPE must be worn at all times in this area. So as you can see here, this is the X-ray cubicle. It is also set up in these facilities. And in the X-ray cubicle, it is fitted with the black drapes, okay, to reduce the amount of light within the cubicle, especially during the day. And mobile LED screens are used to minimize scattered radiation exposure to other staff and patients, and a digital portable machine is also used. So the cubicle is fitted with active pads, point, and radiology system connectivity to send images and complete cases for remote reporting. Screening of patients or visitors to hospital is crucial in identifying any risk of patients or reducing the risk of staff and patients to be in contact with infected patients. So all hospitals started implementing temperature and screening in February when we step up our risk assessment level. So this is an example of a workflow chart to guide the frontline staff when performing screening for patients. For those who are high risk, they will be accompanied by hospitals to wait in isolation area to be assessed by doctors to determine whether further management is required so they do not mix with the rest of the public. Okay, other than performing screening in hospital, of course, for staff management COVID patients, full PPE is required. So personal PPE stocks are checked every week to ensure that there's sufficient supply. There's also training sessions on how to don and doff PPE, and the power air purifying respirator were also performed to ensure that radiographers are equipped with the necessary knowledge should they need to use this PPE for the procedures. Okay, so these are some other measures that was taken in the hospitals to protect staff managing COVID-19 patients. And a typical day of a radiographer's working frontline in COVID-19 screening center, including full PPE 24/7. So in acute hospitals, to prevent possible transmission of infection, through transporting patients to the department, portable X-rays are preferred, which resulted in an 8-fold increase in portable X-ray requests from about 100 a week to more than 800 in a week for the major hospitals. And of course, to ease physical constraint and improve staff morale, manpower was deployed from outpatient areas with reduced workload to this hot zone area, that is the emergency department, and portable X-ray services to the isolation and the pandemic zone. Okay, all available portable machines were also mobilized to this zone to be used as dedicated machines for each area in implementing to minimize the chances of cross-infection. And in some departments, more CR cassettes were purchased to increase the quantity available for use and to take advantage of newer technology of imaging plate phosphor for better sensitivity. With the high workload, portable X-ray workflow was also adjusted to have a two-person workflow. One radiographer would handle the cassette placement and position patient, while the other would handle the machine to minimize cross-infection. So additional infection control practices, in addition to donning and doffing the PPE, were to double back, the imaging cassettes and to wipe down the high-touch area of portable machines after every patient. So the entire machine is also wiped down with appropriate cleaning solutions before leaving the ward. Okay, in the room setup, modifications are made so that it is possible to perform the X-ray while the portable machine is outside of the room behind the glass. So this further helps to reduce the chance of cross-infection since the portable machine is not brought into the patient environment. This also requires two-person workflow where the other radiographer is inside the patient performing position and giving breathing instructions while standing away from the primary beam. Okay, to protect staff and ensure business continuity, team segregation in two forms have been employed. So for staff, if manpower permits segregation by two teams, usually sometimes 1 week on duty and 1 week off duty. The other method employed is by physical segregation of staff by location. Areas are also demarcated to ensure at least 1 meter safe separation between individual at workplace and also in the pantry. So the department avoid letting vulnerable staff, such as staff who are pregnant, having young children at home, or staff with pre-existing medical condition, to be rostered to the high-risk area. In X-ray department, where it is not possible to delegate a single machine such as a CT scanner to man the COVID patient, as such, this contact precaution cases are scheduled towards usually the end of the day or last patient of the day. So equipment cleaning and disinfection is therefore critical. So the department needs to ensure that appropriate cleaning supplies are made available for the disinfection of equipment. Housekeeping has also supplied the radiology departments to perform terminal cleaning of the scanning room after each scan is being performed. Okay, so last but not least, I would like to end my presentation by sharing the slides on some of the measures taken at the radiotherapy department. Okay, so we basically follow most of the things, except we do team segregation also. All right. And this is the summary of my presentation. And thank you very much.
Thank you for Jackie for sharing, and thank you so much. Next, we would like to invite Naoki Kodama from in Japan. Yeah, please share for everybody. And next, must preparing everything. Must from USA ready, preparing. Now invited Naoki Kodama from Japan. Please.
Thank you, Chairperson. My name is Naoki Kodama, and I'm the International Director of Japan Association of the Radiological Technologies, JART. I want to talk about the current status and the issues of Japanese radiological technologies during the COVID-19 pandemic. And first, I would like to introduce some information about Japan. The population of Japan is 127 million, and it has an aging rate of 26.7%. In other words, 30 million Japanese people are older than 65 years old. The aging rate is highest in the world, and it has become a major problem. In Japan, 5,500 radiological technologists are working in medical institutions. There are 32,000 Japan Association of Radiological Technologists JRT members. Here is some information about the COVID-19 situation in Japan. The total number of infection patients was about 15,700. However, since 8,500 patients are already being discharged, there are currently 6,600 activity patients. By May 10, 634 patients had already died from COVID-19. In yesterday's report, since 10,000 patients had already been discharged, there are currently 5,000 active patients. So there are daily cases of COVID-19. On April 7, Japanese government issued a state of emergency in 7 prefectures. However, due to the continued spread of infection, a state of emergency was issued to all prefectures on April 16. On May 5, the government extended the state of emergency until the end of May. The number of daily infection patients on May 10 has been reduced to 69 patients. The red line shows the 7-day average. According to this, the peak number of infection patients was on April 15. The red line shows the 7-day average. According to infection patients was on April 15. There are daily cases and 7-day average. Yesterday, the Japanese government has cancelled the state of emergency of 39 prefectures. However, 8 prefectures such as Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, and Hokkaido are still in state of emergency because the 8 prefectures have a large population and many infected patients. Japan's state of emergency is quite different from that in other countries. A state of emergency is neither a lockdown nor a restriction on going out, but a request to refrain from going out. Therefore, there are no penalties. The government has requested that the movie theater, karaoke bars, pubs, department stores, libraries, and so on are closed. However, it has not requested that supermarkets, convenience stores, drug stores, hospitals, public transportation, restaurants, or financial institutions take leave. The state of emergency was first issued to 7 prefectures. This is because the increasing in the number of infected people in metropolitan areas becomes a problem. The number of infected patients in Tokyo was the highest, and followed by the number of infected patients in Osaka. As of May 10, more than 90% of infected people were concentrated in 7 prefectures. To prevent the COVID-19 infection in Japan, the public has been warned to avoid the 3 C's: closed space, crowded places, and cross-content setting. This word may be selected for this year's Japanese Buzzword Award. JRT issued the guideline in March of the last year regarding infection in the radiological technology field, which is very timely given the current situation. The contents of the guideline are as follows: specific contents for standard precautions, preventive measure for each infectious disease, countermeasures for each infection route, environmental management of the X-ray room, corresponding manual for general X-ray and mobile X-ray, and CT, MR, IVR, nuclear medicine, and radiation therapies. We made the JRT members aware of this guideline. This is the wearing and removing the protective equipment. Due to this guideline, radiological technologies infections are very low. To my understanding, there are less than 10 members infected with the radiological technologies. No more than 10% of the infected people have hospital-acquired infection, so it is very low. On April 21, the Japan Radiological Society notified the number of the recommendations for the radiation sector during the COVID-19 pandemic. The recommendations are as follows: 1. Non-agent examination and treatment need to postpone and reduce in number. 2. CT scans are not recommended as a screening examination for COVID-19. 3. Imaging for COVID-19 patients should be performed after the adequate conditioning of the infection. 4. Infection control measures in the laboratory must be thoroughly implemented. 5. It is necessary to thoroughly implement infection prevention measures for medical professionals and prepare a business continuity plan in case an infection person appears in the department. 6. There is a need to become familiar with the CT findings seen in a COVID-19 infection. On April 24, the Japan Radiological Society also notified the guideline for chest CT examination for COVID-19. Infection control in the CT room is essential. Imaging condition to detection the ground glass shadow can be reliably required. In principle, CT examinations are not recommended as a screening tool. CT finding related the COVID-19 pneumonia. The reason for not recommending the CT as a screening tool is present a false negative CT in 46% of the asymptomatic and 20% of symptomatic. And the CT scan to all patients a large impact on the medical care system in Japan. Also, the CT room does not have the sufficient ventilation facilities, and the risk of hospital-acquired infection is very high. In addition, JRT magazine provides the members with radiological technologies information about COVID-19, such as prevention of infection in Spain and the prevention of infection during CT scans. JRT also shares the information with radiological technologists working at the medical facilities. In particular, the place where the PPE is put and thrown away is very important. We have decided where to put on and take off gowns and eye masks, especially in the CT room. All CT cases use this disposable waterproof sheet. We also disinfected the bed after taking CT scans. The same applies the general X-rays. In particular, the imaging table is disinfected every time. From the result of the questionnaire survey of about 15,000 medical professionals, it is known that medical institutions lack masks and disinfectant. JRT submitted a request from the Japanese government and the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare. The requests as follows: securing, distributing the protection equipment, strengthening the guidance of infection specialists to protect healthcare workers. Healthcare professionals work hard for COVID-19 patients. However, for fear and stress of healthcare professionals is increasing. The same applies to radiological technologies. It is necessary to provide the mental health support of radiological technologies. We also need to reduce discrimination and prejudice against healthcare workers. Finally, it is necessary to consider the safety of radiological technologies while parenting or during the pregnancy. This picture is right in blue in Niigata. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Kodama from in Japan. You are sharing very good, very nice for your sharing for everybody. Next, please, we would like to invite Master Barnabas from New York Hospital, USA. Max Barnabas, please.
Yes.
Yes, you share your webcam, please.
Okay.
Not yet. Okay. You'll be back. Good. Thank you. You please.
It's on?
Please. Yes, good. Please.
The volume's okay?
Okay, I hear.
Okay.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
it's good? Okay.
Yeah.
So, my name is Max Barabas. I'm a interventional radiology tech in New York. I just wanted to thank Mr. Locke, the IRRT, and Yen from GE for inviting me to speak with your group. So, what I'm going to touch on, I used information from 3 of the major hospitals in New York, so this is not just exclusive to where I work. So what I'm going to review today is the New York State elective surgery definition, the response level protocol, technologist workflow, the PPE requirements, the pre-COVID-19 workflow, the COVID-19 workflow, preventative cross-contamination COVID workflow, the evolution of telemedicine, and our limitations on supplies. So I'm going to start by talking about the definition New York and New Jersey shares about about what elective surgeries are, because right now we are not performing any elective surgeries or interventions. So what the tri-state area definition defines elective surgery as is any procedure for which postponement of the procedure for 3 months has no clinical impact. So it's important to touch on this because this has a patient care element. It also has a financial element to the institution, and it also has a scheduling impact. There's going to be a surge of cases that are going to have to be performed when this crisis is over. So that's going to be something that has to be looked at. So moving on to the response level protocol, we have there's 3 response levels: the conventional, contingency, and the crisis. The different hospitals right now have different levels. Right now, I have a specialized hospital, so we are not in the crisis level, just because we don't have an emergency room open to the public. Our institution deals with a specific type of patient who are immunocompromised, so we cannot have just a general sort of walk-in emergency room. The next is includes reallocating interventional procedures and surgical procedures, the locations and the staff. So different technologists have been reassigned to different areas for various reasons, which also includes moving cases around throughout the hospital, utilizing different rooms, the use of OR rooms as ICUs in the general hospitals, and in some institutions, my colleagues have had their cafeterias converted into ICUs. So I'll touch now on the technologist workflow. What we're doing is we're having staggered work schedules to prevent any technologists from getting sick. We're just doing our best to make sure that everyone stays healthy. We have a daily questionnaire that we have to fill out, which is sort of not always 100% accurate, but everyone's trying the best to have as many checkpoints as possible before we enter the medical center. We have enhanced cleaning procedures by our building services staff. We have to wear masks. This picture here is we have to wear masks as soon as we get into the campus. But in New York State, the governor has asked us to wear masks everywhere. We're also only allowed to have 4 people in an elevator at a time, which can be challenging. But we are doing the best that we can to minimize infection amongst coworkers. PPE requirements. So what we are required to do is we wear a surgical mask over the N95, wear eye protection with side shields. We also wear face shields, sterile gown and glove and shoe covers for interventional procedures, in addition to the lead aprons that we have to wear for the procedures. So the pre-COVID workflow generally at most hospitals is that you have an office visit with the MD, schedule your procedure, your intervention, your surgery, a diagnostic imaging studies performed at a site-specific location, whether that's main campus or a satellite location closer to the patient's residence. You get your MR, CT, ultrasound, PET, whatever is needed for the procedure. Then you'd have your interventional procedure or surgery at a site-specific location. Then you'd have the traditional follow-up. So the COVID workflow, our current workflow is patients have a telemedicine visit with the MD. The visit's scheduled on a limited basis. We only are allowed to let one visitor in per patient. COVID asymptomatic patients are tested 2 days prior to an intervention. Diagnostic imaging studies for COVID positive patients are off-site, while COVID negative patients are on the main campus. Interventional procedures for COVID positive and negative are performed at all locations. Patients follow-up are performed telemedicine via the internet. So in some institutions, they're also opening secondary or third doors they have in the room for CAT scans, just to allow proper air circulation in the room. So preventative cross-contamination COVID workflow, what we have now is, again, all masks are worn on campus. Rooms are terminally cleaned, and technologist workstations are sanitized. The chairs, the computers, the door handles. Just want to make sure my mic is working. Okay, so also, where was I? Sterile tables and equipment are only open when patient is in the room. We have intubation and extubation precautions. When patients are being intubated or extubated, the technologist steps out of the room and the nurses step out of the room. I mentioned doors kept open when possible during procedures, which is traditionally not allowed. But in this situation, we have to try our best here. For chest procedures, we perform a full lung CT. Then we practice the scrub versus circulating technologist for interventional procedures and for level 1 trauma centers. So the evolution of telemedicine. So MDs, the doctors are highly reliant on the emerging technology that telemedicine has to offer right now. Radiology interpretations are performed remotely to minimize contact with infected patients. And software engineers and physicians are working collaboratively to create a multidisciplinary platform for everyone to use, allowing medicine and surgical physicians to communicate. We have a limitation on supplies. We must use N95 masks for 2 to 3 weeks unless the structural integrity is compromised or the mask becomes soiled. We use only one surgical gown per clinician. Surgical equipment located in IR is in a highly secured area, and the N95 masks are monitored by leadership. So what we have been doing, what everyone's been doing at 7 o'clock, there's been everyone clapping at 7 o'clock with visits from the fire department and police department to different hospitals, which has been very very nice. It's sort of the city's way of showing unity in this difficult time. We've had a very large number of infected patients and deaths in this country, and especially New York, where I am currently. And we are doing the absolute best to make sure that the public and the patient's safety is paramount. And I just wanted to end by saying thank you for allowing me to speak at this meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. Thank you, Max, Pass from New York City, America. Thank you so much for your sharing for everybody. Very nice. Some audience cannot watch from webinar. You can go to in YouTube better. Next, we would like to invite Ino from Myanmar. And remember, after Myanmar, after Ino, Professor Hoàng Minh Lợi back again for check imaging for COVID-19 pandemic. And after Professor Hoàng Minh Lợi, next Christine. Remember, Christine, remember. Thank you so much. Ino, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good morning, or.
Yeah, you share. Sorry. You share your webcam. You please share your webcam.
Yeah. Can you hear?
You know, beautiful. You must share your webcam. Everybody share webcam. You share webcam, not phone. No.
Okay.
Not yet. You link help her. Link can help her. Okay. You share your webcam. Your camera. You share your camera.
Yeah, I share already.
Not yet. You.
I share already. Please
not yet. I cannot see you.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't see you. You share your webcam. You open and start sharing.
Yeah.
You must start sharing.
Just sharing already.
You sharing already? You can up and again. See. You can up and again.
No.
You can up camera. You can up webcam.
Yeah, I already sharing.
Yeah, and you share again.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yes, beautiful.
You see?
Thank you. Yeah, please. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Janu. Can you hear? Imaging manager at the hospital from Myanmar. First of all, I would like to say special thanks to Mr. King and Mr. Locke giving me a chance to join this great event. I'm going to talk about imaging patients' journey during COVID-19 at Mandala Hospital. Let me continue. I would like to introduce Family Mandala Group. First one is Mandala Hospital, 100-bedded hospital at Mandalay. 26 years old, I'm working there. I feel proud working there because it is the first private hospital in Upper Myanmar. Next one is Medawin Hospital, 70-bedded. It is in hilly place. Next one is Easy Health Primary Healthcare Clinic. Next one is Elodet, 2 branches from Yangon and Mandalay. Myanmar Fusion also 2 branches, Yangon and Mandalay. Next one is Mandala Clinic. Sorry. During COVID period in Myanmar, situation is changing day by day. The latest update news for COVID-19 confirmed cases, 181 cases in Myanmar, and then 89 is recovered and only 6 deaths in death leaks. Encounter issue for mental hospital. First of all, reduced number of patients. Elderly specialists stay at home. They cannot visit our hospital as usual. Some staff took long leave because their parents cope at home. More expense for prevention and disinfection for preparation at mental hospital. For imaging department, reduced number of patients. Elderly radiologists work from home, so we have to arrange teleradiology and HIS for staff encounter difficulty to stay in the lay community because of COVID-19 rumor. We have to I have to talk about that some hostel owner feel afraid or healthcare worker. So we have to arrange accommodation for the staff. For imaging patients with fever and or respiratory symptoms with unknown etiology refer to government hospital according to guideline of Ministry of Health from Myanmar. Because such analysis and CTC only available at government hospital. Screening precaution and disinfection are created for imaging department protocol during COVID-19. For screening, we have to take in body temperature first. If the patient is over 99, we have to take after 15 minutes. Second one is history taken. We have to ask name and address to make sure the person came from COVID period or not. Any symptoms: fever, cough, sore throat, diarrhea, new loss or taste and smell, and shortness of breath. And then travel history within 1 month, seeing himself or herself or family member. If yes, ask candidate the country and division to make sure that the person who contacted with the one who was fever and cough among family members within 1 month. If the patient is suspected, the patient must see with medical team before any examination. As precaution, knowledge sharing to all staff about COVID-19 is the first priority and then training for wearing full PPE, how to wear and how to take off is the most important for them. And social distancing for all staff, especially for specialist OVD, not only in the department but also everywhere. You can see this one is a protected area between the radiologist and the patient in ultrasound room, and then this fever room. Nurse is spraying in everyone in fever room. General workers with disinfectant solution in isolation room according to schedule and after every patient. Create a workflow and drill for suspected patient and patient safety and reinforcement. How to prepare for disinfection. All staff must wash their hands using water and soap or hand sanitizer frequently. Spray the solution in department according to schedule, and all machine and all contact area after touching with each patient. Follow the update announcement of WHO and Ministry of Health and Sport Myanmar, same as like that. For every machine, including mobile machine too. This slide shows imaging department screening process. When imaging patient arrives at our hospital, anyone from OPT or IPT or some other hospital, they must pass screening area first. If the patient is unsuspected, the patient is transported to imaging department as usual. If the patient is suspected, categorized according to guideline of MOHS. For category A and B, the patient is transported to fever room. For category C, the patient is transported to isolation room. When transporting and treatment, medical worker must wear full PPE. For our category, we must transfer to government hospital, accompanied by skillful and nurse, general worker, and driver. From a different exit. And then after they arrive at our hospital, they need to spray disinfectant solution or area in ambulance. Also, the whole body also before taking PPE. After taking PPE, they can enter the hospital. New regulation at mental hospital. Only one exit and only one exit. Another entrance is closed. Temporary using a hand sanitizer at entry and exit to be aware of hand hygiene. Staff are needed to wear masks all the time. Only people with masks are allowed to enter. The person without masks need to buy masks at hospital entrance at minimum. Limited number of patients attended because of Nyamagata. At least strict moral attendance, accommodating with patients, limited visitors and suppliers to control contact person. This picture shows temporary basin and full stage hand sanitizer at our hospital entrance. For social distancing, arrange in everywhere, physical barrier at counter, customer service, pharmacy and cashier counter also. Arrange social distancing at patient waiting area, especially specialist OPD. Meetings are encouraged to hold via online. Only 5% allowed in elevator. For hospital canteen arrangement, take away only for non-employee, social distancing for staff also. Hand hygiene arrangement at our hospital and also imaging department at entry of imaging department. The person who enters the imaging department must use hand sanitizer before the entry. Regular basin at every floor and every toilet. 7 days hand hygiene poster is everywhere. Hand sanitizer is available at every office desk. Arrange hand sanitizer near every elevator at every floor. New regulations at imaging department. Social distancing at workplace. Reduce deployment of staff by considering the risk of quarantine. Because reducing manpower in COVID-19. Business approaches were revised: teleradiology, teleconsultation, and door-to-door service. Disinfection procedure and schedule were revised. Trace for COVID-19 prevention frequently to make sure for staff safety. Imaging patient journey summary. As screening area, thermal screening, history taking, any symptom, and asking referral doctor confirm COVID symptom or not. We have to prepare our pre-preparation at our department. Minimum number of operator is assigned in duty to reduce contact person. Follow universal precaution. We have to prepare personal protective equipment and disinfection protocol. After scanning every patient, we have to continue disinfection protocol. Teleradiology and door-to-door delivery for reporting. I would like to say special thanks to imaging department and colleges, especially mental health management team, supporting me to create a beautiful presentation. Thank you for all. Please stay home.
Thank you so much, Ino. Thank you so much. Dear old college. Tea pack, we don't have a tea pack. We online seminar, online conference. You please take care by yourself. Tea pack by yourself. Yeah, thank you so much. You join us. I'm also recommend for a speaker. After you speaker, you finish, you please don't sleep, because when we end a timing, chairman and audience, they will have some question for you. I will tell you, open microphone if you have a question from in chairman and audience, and also recommend for our college in college and audience. Now in lecture from in Professor Lê Hoàng Minh Lê from Vietnam, you please remember. We will for you some question after finish from lecture of Hoàng Minh Lê. Audios, please remember. Now I would like to invite Professor Hoàng Minh Lê, Vice President Vietnam Society Radiologist. Check imagine in COVID-19. Professor Hoàng Minh Lê, please. You please open in camera. You okay? You hear me? Yeah, I hear you. But you please open your camera. Yeah, open already. Yeah, not yet. You can off and you again your webcam. Not yet. Stop sharing. Okay, good. Good. You can talk. Okay. Okay. Please. Okay. Yes. I'm so sorry for technical problem. And now I talk about imaging directly, not introduction. Because for clinical feature, etc., you can refer by many information on the web. Okay. Now, possible role of chest X-ray. We know that chest X-ray film in a sensitive in early stage. You see on the chest X-ray film that was normal, but we can see on the CT with coronal reconstruction with the lesion GGO on the base right lung. That's why. And we have a statistic in tropical hospital in Vietnam. Chest X-ray film in normal in COVID-19 positive with PCR were 35% in our statistic. That's why we should be considered for the progressive stage. For example, here consolidation upper right lung with the consolidation and a bronchogram here clearly to see, and another with the lesion of the upper right lung with effusion interlobar septal and thickness also and GGO on the base left here. Secondly, on chest X-ray film, we have seen greasy paving. What greasy paving? That is thickness interlobular and intralobular line combination with real glass. We call greasy paving. We will clearly analyze in CT. And we believe that the pattern is seen in somewhat later stage. Here you see ground glass with a little bit in the left side, greasy paving. So the secondly, for the row of checking the film, see the lesion. For example, here for the normal in the early stage, and in the severe stage, we can see many lesions on the lung here. Many opacity, both sides, bilateral, and almost the base posterior lesion. Now, we analyze possible roles of chest CT. CT can play a role in 4 roles. The first, triage of patients have no COVID-19, a possible or most likely COVID-19, or severity of disease. Secondly, prediction of worsening. Thirdly, prediction of improvement of disease. And fourth, make a problem to solve by clinical and imaging physician. For the triage, some publicate that recently clinical guidelines recommend chest CT for patients which suspect COVID-19. And decision to use Siri for triage depend on consideration of primary chance of COVID-19 infection, almost for epidemic duration comeback. Siri available, for instance, can one Siri be used corner Siri only, or there are Siri near the emergency room and clinical suspicion patient with negative PCR. And for the ACR, had to recommend Siri shouldn't be used to diagnose COVID-19. And just CT finding, initial finding, we will also the initial styling case mostly ground-glass obesity with the peripheral or posterior distribution, mainly lower lobe and less frequency in the middle lobe or upper lobe. Consolidation superimposed on GGO and initial present found a smaller number of cases, mainly in the elderly population. Septal thickening, bronchiectasis, blood thickening, and pleural environment are some of less common findings, mainly later stage of the disease. Blood effusion, pericardial effusion, lymphadenopathy cavitation, CT hydroxide, pneumothorax are some of the uncommon possible findings in the disease and superimposed on another virus. There is much overlap CT patient COVID with other viral pneumonia. The first, ground-glass obesity, GGO. On the chest finding, almost the finding, that's ground-glass pattern. And in Vietnam, we get about more 90% in the CT imaging. And there are zerally bilateral and peripheral. And the progressive GGO, that means the atypical crazy paving pattern somewhere in the first step. For example, here, for the left, for the right, in the right by GGO, but in the left, a little bit the paving, crazy paving. Right. And here you see for imaging of 59-year-old female has history 10 days of fever and 5 days coughing. And on the CT scan imaging, we can see the GGO, the first step only, without consolidation on the image. No architectural distortion. But this patient has positive with COVID-19 PCR. Secondly, for crazy paving, we see in this image, and only we have many white line, same in the paving on street, the both sides of street. We have clearly regular paving, but here not the regular. The mix, rectangular, triangular, pentagon, etc. That's why we call crazy paving. And we believe that now this pattern is seen in somewhat later stage of COVID-19. The third finding on the chest CT finding, wilderness visual. Here you see on the posterior bilateral, we have seen the delays of almost venous. We see clearly on the enhancement with contrast. The fourth finding, traction bronchitis. After one time, the progression of the disease has the reconstruction around the bronch. That's why distortion and retraction make it acquire bronchitis here and here. That's the fourth finding. The fifth finding, that's the subpleural bands up to the progressive stage, which have seen the white band with subpleural with architectural distortion and maybe complication of COVID-19. Sixth finding, consolidation. We have consolidation, that's the massive bilateral almost the posterior and the base of bilateral of the lung. And consolidation with halo inverse. We have another pathologic lesion and the organized pneumonia here, clearly by 3D reconstruction. Language description now for series finding. For ACR or RSNA, we have 4 categories. Category typical. Second, indeterminate appearance. Atypical appearance and negative for pneumonia. We have 4 categories, and now all the world accept this language for the description for the lesion on the pneumonia of COVID-19. But we have another language from the Holland, the 6 cohorts that we have from cohort 1 to cohort 6. From 1 to 5, that's very typical, very high suspicion for typical COVID-19. But always, if PCR not positive, we cannot define that that's the COVID-19. That's why very important that RT-PCR that they confirm the COVID-19. And the first language to evaluate the severity we call SCORE, or severity. Severity lung involvement correlate with severity. We have 5 severity, and but easily to understanding. We have, if one level attempt, we have under 10% involvement. 2 from 10 to 25, 3 26 to 49, 4 5 50 to 75, and up to 75 involvement we have a very severity critical lesion. And we have a CT change over time for statistic of ACR, and same the Dutch have a 4 stage. Early stage from 0 to 40, which the finding of GGO petrocracy, paving, lower number, involve a lot. Progressive stage 5 to 8 days. That's the state progressive. Extension GGO, increased paving pattern. And peak stage 10 to 13 days with consolidation, organized pneumonia, and the absorption stage upper 14 days graded resolution.
Now, protocol or CD procedure, we have now continuously scanning millimeter of under-millimeter taking from outlet thoracic to adrenal or pelvic abdominal, that depending on clinical situation, and we know that the multi-organ lesion and the reconciliatory coronal cerebral plan, very important to see clearly. Principle, no contact interaction, but in some case, injection depends on clinical. For example, the hematology disorder or hemodynamic disorder or anything for the base another disease, diabetes, and anything, we should injection which contracts. Very important to evaluation for thrombosis, pulmonary, and anything else. For conclusion, now chest CT film can be usefully in pulmonary lesion detection and follow-up of the COVID-19 disease. 2. Chest CT can play very important role triage of patients with no COVID-19 or severity of disease, prediction, worsening, prediction, improvement, problem to solve. Thus, principal finding of COVID-19, we have 6 findings: visual paving, one is visual, fraction, characteristic, set to reconnect, thickness with structural distortion and consolidation. 4. Shouldn't use chest X-ray or CT procedure screening test. Thanks for your attention, and so sorry for my delay in presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Hoàng Minh Lợi from in Vietnam. Dear colleagues, you remember this lecture. Very important for you. I have a yes no question for you after finish. You have 20 hours for reply to your answers. You can review in YouTube this lecture before you answer, you reply for us. Be careful. You can review it 1 time, 2 times, or 3 times before you answer for us. Thank you so much, Professor Hoàng Minh Lợi again. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next, we would like to invite Christine from Myanmar. You please share your experience in your country for everybody in the world. Thank you so much. Christine, you please you on your webcam, you on camera?
Yeah. I've already.
Yes.
Hear my voice?
Yeah, be beautiful girl, please open.
So, I've already. Can I check
If you cannot, you can off and on again.
Can you see me?
Not yet. You okay already? Yes, beautiful. Thank you so much. You please. Thank you.
Hello?
Yes, thank you. Here, good sound.
Yep. I will start my presentation, and my name is Ms. Nhan Ila Cho, and I'm from the Republic of Union of Myanmar. And today I would like to share about the role and safety of RT for preparedness and response of COVID-19 in Yangon region. And before I start my presentation, and I would like to highlight about current situation of Myanmar. And the updated data was on the May 1st, 2020, and at the time confirmed cases in Myanmar is 151, and recover is 31, and death is 6. But today morning at 7 a.m., we have updated data about the confirmed cases is 182, and recover is 89, and death is still 6. And here's the testing center of Myanmar, especially in Yangon region. Both National Health Laboratory NHL and both Department of Medical Research (DM) have done the cases for about 300 cases, and other laboratories such as from the military sites, and there will be another one in the Mandalay region as well. And then here's the treatment and control center for coronavirus in Yangon region. There are three major centers for the treatment and control center. The first one is the Wibagi Hospital, and the second one is the South October Specialist Hospital, and in process right now is the Pangji COVID Center. And we confirmed that in that center they can take care and can give full support and treatment for the patient of about 2,500 patients. And here's a government response, especially communication with COVID-19 to the public. And the first one is our state councillor discussion with public via the Facebook Live. And in there, she met with a lot of authorized persons from different parts of Myanmar, such as healthcare professional or the authorized personnel and also the volunteer team leader throughout the Myanmar. And also the Ministry of Health and Sport announcement via the social media, broadcasting station, and official website. And right now, they also send the SMS to our phone as well. And for the MOHS protocol, I need help with the link because in here I use the hyperlink. So please, patient for a while. Here's the first one. Yep. And we see there are a lot of it that I will share only because of the time and also the importance of our RT. And can you hear? Yep. In here, depend on the patient history. Yeah, depend on the patient history of fever and respiratory symptoms, and also the other non-respiratory symptoms such as the nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and headache, etc. And it will, depending on this situation, we separate three different rooms. It's the red room, orange room, and green room. Red room is called the fever room, and orange room is the specialist OPD room, and the green room is emergency room. If the patient was sent to the red room, we need to follow the protocol B. Thank you. And in protocol B, if the patient came from the red room, and of course they will refer to the radiology department, and at that time they will use the term PUI, person and investigation or patient and investigation, and we will see the C19 stamp on an investigation form, and they will request for the chest X-ray and sometimes for the CT scan as well. And for the next slide. Thank you. And compared with the previous data, and I will only highlight what the difference between the last one and the right now situation. This is updated on April 28, 2020, and in here you can see that in the previous old day we used the quarantine period of 14 days, and right now our government have updated situation. Depending on the person and also the patient who go in and are care, and we need to consider patient need to go to the facility quarantine or patient need to go to the isolated room, I mean the fever room. That if the patient has to go to the facility quarantine, in the old day we need to stay only for 14 days, but right now our government has updated to 21 days. This is the updated guideline. Okay, I'm going to the next one. Thank you. Yeah. Yep. This is how triage work in for the radiology department. As I mentioned before, there will be the three major rooms: the fever room, a specialist OPD room, and emergency. And of course, they will request for the radiology department. And for the fever room, they will only request for the portable X-ray, and sometimes they will request for the CT. And here's the rule and safety of RT for COVID-19 pandemic region. Firstly, we need to check the requisition form to categorize different room status, such as the fever room or specialist OPD room and emergency. If the patient comes from the fever room, we need to prepare full PPE. And also, we need to check if the patient came from other rooms, such as the specialist OPD and emergency. If the patient comes from the other room, we need to prepare the surgical gown, mask, cap, and face shield. And we also follow WHO's My 5 movements for hand hygiene. It's before touching a patient, before any clean or aseptic procedure, after exposure to body fluid, after touching a patient, after touching patient surrounding, and also the disinfection procedure. And of course, we need to be cooperative with the hospital crisis management team. And here's the disinfection procedure, but it will depend on your hospital guideline. But for the object case in our center, we use the 75% ethanol, wipe with 75% ethanol twice a day, and also if we scan for the patient, we use the 75% ethanol once every 4 hours. And for the equipment, especially for the digital radiography and CT gantry, are wiped with 75% ethanol after every scan. And in buffer area, we also use the 75% ethanol twice a day. And for the air disinfection, all AC are turned off, and doors are open for ventilation for about 30 minutes once every 4 hours. And air sterilizer or UV, it depends on your choice. It will be about every 60 minutes and 4 times a day. And for the ground, we wipe with 1,000 milligram per liter chlorine containing disinfectant. And for the visible contamination, we have to use the disposable absorbent material to completely remove the pollutants. And then a close soap with 2,000 milligram per liter chlorine containing disinfectant is used for 30 minutes before wiping. And I want to remind you again, disinfectant materials may depend on vendor's instruction and also the hospital guideline. Yep. If unfortunately, if we exposed to the COVID-19 positive case, and how we should do, is there a management of RT who is exposed to COVID-19 positive case? First of all, we need to stop all healthcare interaction with patients for a period of 21 days after the last exposure to a confirmed COVID-19 patient. And we need to quarantine for 21 days in a designated quarantine center and 7 days in home. And we need to be tested for RT-PCR. And of course, the organization has to give emotional support to radiology technologists. And also, they also provide regular monthly salary to RT during quarantine period. Here's a major challenge of RT during COVID-19 pandemic. The first one is insufficient medical diagnostic equipment, such as portable X-ray and mobile CT machines and other supporting accessories in some areas of Myanmar, and also the requirement of human resources, and also the mutual consent of the colleagues about their family members. Actually, it's the main concern about acts for now, because in our country, Myanmar, there are a lot of female RT, and a lot of family members are worried about their daughters. And some of my colleagues go back to the hometown because their family didn't give any permission to work in this environment anymore. So mutual consent of the colleagues is a very important concern for us for now. And also the public awareness of COVID-19 throughout Myanmar. Although the government announced and give public awareness for COVID-19, but still we need to promote and promote the information throughout the Myanmar, and we need to give thorough information, and we need to tell them how to control the situation. If we can control this, our country can handle it very well. I hope so. Yep. Here's my reference of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christine from Myanmar. Thank you so much. Okay, please don't sleep. You waiting, and you off the microphone and you off the camera, and you waiting. After that, in the end, Q&A, the speaker asks you. We would like to invite Nguyen Hoan Vu, Vietnam, to be sharing your experience in Vietnam for how protect for RT. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Lộc. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today I would like to introduce with you the prevention for Vietnamese RT when they doing X-ray and CT scan examination for COVID-19 patients. So this is my content. As the first part, I would would like to introduce you a briefly review about right now the situations of Vietnam. And the second and the third part is the X-ray procedure and the CT scan procedure for COVID-19 patients in Vietnam. This is the relative procedures we apply in Vietnam now. Up to yesterday, the effective case is more than 353 patients, and especially no death patient until now in Vietnam. That is the big efforts of the Vietnam government, and now up to now, no community transmission has been recorded in the last 28 days in Vietnam. That is our big success for COVID-19 pandemic. First of all, I think some, from my viewpoint, I think some factors will impact the risk of the virus for RTs. I think RTs less awareness of COVID-19 risk because they are working in the diagnostic imaging, which is in the low risk areas of virus spreading, and the RT let have some less information about their patients because they just receive the X-ray or CT scan indication from the medical department. That is a few information and symptoms of our patients. And also the RT are not good training on prevention. Some of my colleagues said they are very confusing when they wear PPT because this is the first time they use it. That is a big problem for RT. And I would like to share with you the bottle X-ray procedure. This is what has been applied in the hospital now, and I am working here. We have 2 positive cases, and for this is the procedure we apply in at the isolated area because we don't want to use the X-ray machine in our department. It may be make the department at risk. So for the preparation, RT for RT they should wear, as many authors mentioned before, they should wear PPE with the face mask and then 95 and face shield, eyes protection, etc. So for the cassette, we cover by 3 plastic layers, and the layers 1 we will put up after exposure, and the layer 2 we will put up after we leave the isolate room, and the layer 3 we will put it up after we leave the isolate area, and all the cassettes will be treated as the effective by the UV or ethanol. For bottle X-ray machines, we assign just only one machine we use as isolated areas, and after exposure, it will be effective by ethanol also, but it should be follow the mentor recommendation. For artists, after examination, his name is recorded, and he will get off PPE at the actualist room. He will wash mouth with the disinfectant and take a shower at the actualist room. After he go back to the department, the diagnostics imaging department, all clothes will be treated as the defective materials. This picture shows some the preparation for cassette CR and DR. We use the plastic pack cover on the cassette. And this picture shows the cassette transferring after exposure to from RT1 to RT2 for the post-processing image. And this whole procedures for portal X-rays in Vietnam right now. And for the CT scan procedures, we don't have the portal CT scan in Vietnam. So we, if the patient needs to do the CT scan exam, so we will move the patient to the diagnostic imaging department to do it. So before the patients coming, we clean the CT room. Like we delay other CT examination if it's not emergency. So and we will give the personal way for the COVID patient. We assign 2 radiological technologists will do the CT scan examinations. One with the full PPE will do the positioning patients, and one with control exposure control. And after examinations, all the door will open and the room will be sterilized or UV at least 30 minutes before next patient. And the CT table is white with the ethanol also. So this is some picture show some reparation for the patient undergone the CT scan. That is some information I will do it in Vietnam, and I would like to share with you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your attention, and hope everyone stay safe from COVID-19. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nguyen Hoan Vu from Vietnam. Thank you so much. Next speaker, we would like to invite Kyung Jin Park from Korea. Please share for your experience for everybody in the world. Park, you please. Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Park, you please. Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, clear.
Do you hear me? Can I start now?
You please after one, maybe you open 2 windows.
So I'm representing in Korea and a member of KITA. Welcome to today's presentation. The topic of presentation is procedure of X-ray and computed tomography with COVID-19. The presentation has been main session. The protecting device and clothes, general X-ray, and computed tomography. First, we need the clothes to prevent from infection. Remedy, PPE, which is personal protective equipment, and augment PPE. Remedy is for confirmed COVID-19 patient in treatment and examination because it provides protection from the disease resulting from the contact with hazards. Otherwise, PPE normally used for the suspect patient. It is composed of face shield, mask, gown, and gloves. In case of transport, the negative pressure ventilation devices are used depending on situation. Transfer bag, isolated stretcher, and wheelchair. And a disinfect wipe used for cleaning after exam. That's a brief example of protecting device and clothes. Now, I'd like to have a look at another part of presentation, the procedure of X-ray. If patient arrived at our hospital is suspect or confirmed COVID-19 infection, we classify two groups: suspect, strong suspect, and confirmed. Also, the place for the exam is different as well: screening center and isolation zone. If suspected, patient goes to screening center and has some consult with doctor. After that, we take X-ray projection of patient, usually chest X-ray. After finished, we clean everything patient touched with disinfect wipes and wash the hands properly. As you can see, there are 3 items for the screening center: X-ray mobile, of course, negative pressure ventilation system for the air conditioning, this one, and a detector. We have 4 rules in screening center. First, PPE, as I mentioned. Second, patients should wear the mask and gloves to prevent from the contamination. Third, we use 2 gloves for X-ray exam and change it to 2 gloves for the cleaning. Lastly, it is very hard to examine the suspected COVID-19. Sorry for that. We run the 1-hour shift for the care of radiological technologists. On the other hand, we have isolation zone for confirmed COVID-19 patient. When a doctor requests a COVID-19 patient X-ray, we first go to preparation room to wear the liability protection. Then enter the isolation room to take the X-ray. After finished, back to preparation room to sterilize the device and undress level B, and come out the isolation zone after shower. In this procedure, the protection step is most emphasized. That's all our hospital X-ray procedure. Let's move on to the following stage of presentation: computed tomography. In case of suspect COVID-19, it's the same as X-ray, so I skip that. On the other hand, the procedure of a confirmed patient is different. We divide 2 groups: less complex for about 30 minutes, and more complex about 4 or 5 hours. Less complex is composed of 1 or 2 lines for patient and spontaneous respiration. Otherwise, it's more complex. In case of less complex, negative ventilation transfer bag is used and don't need to restrict the path. During examination, technologists wear the protection and don't need to sit up the room. However, patient position is limited. After CT exam, clean the room and wash the hands. More complex, however, we have cooperated with another department. Patient transport team for transfer, security team for preventing other people by air restriction, specialist team for sealing up, and clean service team for disinfection. Before exam, sealing up takes about 30 minutes. During exam, liability protection and 2 radio technologists. One is for control of scanner, and the other is for patient preparation. After exam, there are some steps: waste disposal, ventilation, and ultraviolet. All of them takes about 3 hours. To sum up my presentation today, protection is most important thing to prevent a radiotechnologist from the infection. Wash the hands properly before, during, after examination. Follow the instruction of exam procedure precisely. And a reminder of power of hope and solidarity. We can overcome the COVID-19 together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kyung Yin Park. Thank you so much, Kyung Yin Park, come from in Korea. Very nice presentation. Very nice. Oh dear, our college. You play feedback by yourself. Yes, online seminar we don't feedback. You only feedback by yourself. Thank you so much. Now we would like to invite Pichi Luna from Philippines Society. Thank you so much, Pichi Luna from the Philippines and Philippine Society and Myanmar Society in Vietnam. We are good, very good teamwork. You support for us anything. Thank you so much. You always support. We are the keep in touch in good teamwork. Pichi Luna, please. Thank you so much. Pichi Luna, please. You can share to your webcam. Pichi Luna, you're not yet on microphone. Okay, good. You're on microphone. Pichi Luna, okay. If you cannot, you can off and on again.
Can you hear me?
Yes, here. You can share to your webcam.
Can I start now?
You on camera? You be on camera? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. But very small to your server and more small.
Okay now?
Yes. You take your microphone. You take your microphone near your mouse. Near your mouth better. You take microphone near your mouse. Microphone. You take microphone. Earphone. You take earphone.
Hello, yeah.
You're very small.
Hear me now.
Now, near mouth, near your mouth. A little near. Okay, you can talk.
Yeah, hello.
Okay, good.
Okay
You
now.
keep. Yes, you keep. Yes. Keep it. Okay, good. Yeah, very far. No,
Welcome.
close. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, you can speak.
Can I start now? All right, good day, everyone. My discussion on the high impact roles and safety of radiologic technologists during COVID-19 pandemic will focus on how RTs are coping and taking initiatives given by the situation in the Philippines. The Philippines confirmed its first case of coronavirus in Metro Manila and the entire country on January 30, and the first coronavirus-related death outside China was recorded in Manila on February 2. The first case of community transmission was reported by the Department of Health on March 6, and on March 8, President Duterte declared a state of public health emergency. On March 10, the President ordered the closure of all the schools, colleges, and universities in Metro Manila, and on the 16th, the President declared a state of calamity throughout the Philippines due to COVID-19 and imposed an enhanced community quarantine covering the entire Luzon, including Metro Manila. The Department of Health reported that the total number of coronavirus cases in the Philippines has reached 12,091. Though the DOH recording more or less 200 new cases each day, there is increasing number of new recoveries, bringing the tally to more than 2,460. Most cases with more than 60% are coming from the National Capital Region. The DOH also confirmed that the new number of healthcare workers have contracted the virus, bringing the total number of infected to 2,165 and now accounts 18% of the total COVID-19 cases. Despite the increase, the DOH maintained that the rate of infection among health workers continues to follow a downward trend since its peak on April 10. Also, there is increasing number of health workers who have recovered, and no record of deaths for a couple of days now. With over 2,000 infected healthcare workers who have contracted COVID-19, the 5 medical professions with the highest number of cases includes the radiology technology with 42 and ranked 5th. The World Health Organization expressed concern over the high COVID incidence among the country's medical frontliners and said that it's coordinating with the Department of Health to look into the possible causes. According to Dr. Abu Muhammad, the WHO Western Pacific Region COVID-19 Incident Manager, the alarming development may be due to the lack of personal protective gear, its improper use, or increasing number of cases overwhelming the healthcare system. And to augment the workforce in health facilities in the regions, provinces, and cities that manage COVID-19 cases, the DOH has hired 1,237 personnel in 19 hospitals and quarantine facilities. Of these total number of hired personnel, about 49 are radiologic technologists. And as of May 11, there are still 77 facilities have requested for additional healthcare workers under the DOH emergency hiring program. And to ensure that the workforce in healthcare facilities in the regions, provinces, and cities that manage COVID-19 is sufficient, the government has suspended temporarily the overseas deployment of healthcare workers. And likewise, the POEA temporarily suspended negotiations of government to government hiring of Filipino workers. And among those temporarily barred from leaving the country are X-ray and radiologic technologists. The high impact roles for safety shielding. There has been an extraordinary demand, as we know, for personal protective equipment with the rapid spread of the novel coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2. You can imagine a situation like when everybody needs PPE immediately at the same time while leaving some resource-challenged areas and facilities without adequate supply and access to PPE. A news featured how an improvised PPE face mask is worn by a radiologic technologist during rounds at the district hospital. The Filipino radiologic technologist said that PPE stocks are in very limited supply, so the hospital could only issue RTs 2 sets of PPE. However, this rad tech at the hospital found a way to supplement the supply. He used some spoiled X-ray films with emulsion stripped off, packing material, elastic, and glue gun to make his own face mask. And some staffs also are using raincoats so they can sanitize and reuse as an added protective equipment. Determined along with institutional guidelines, resource availability, the conservation of PPEs and other materials is taken into consideration. Some RadTechs now wear different design PPEs manufactured by local garment factories, and one hospital was even featured in a news to have its own staffs suing their designed PPEs to augment their supply. And in March, healthcare professionals sounded alarm over this shortage of protective gear, and this pushed volunteer groups and associations, including overseas Filipino RadTechs, to donate PPEs and improvised equipment to frontliners. And even donation of food, along with other PPEs and disinfectants, are supported to the frontliners by our chapters. And until this time, there has been continuous efforts of our chapters to deliver donations and supports to RadTechs and other frontliners. There are also initiatives of many COVID centers in the Philippines, like the University of the Philippines General Hospital. They developed strategies on how to conserve PPEs, and one strategy is earning the commitment of healthcare workers. This is need to conserve PPEs being emphasized to all the staff, including the radiologic technologists, during their orientation and training for donning and doffing of PPEs. Distancing. Radiology departments preparedness during this outbreak included enactment of policies and procedures that allow continued operation during an extreme healthcare emergency, assist in the care of patients with COVID-19, and maintain radiology support for the entirety of the hospital and the health system, including elective imaging or postponement of non-urgent outpatient imaging, accepting only patients within the capacity of the radiology, dedicating machines. Specific machines are assigned for imaging suspect, probable, and COVID-19 patients. Isolating exposure area means limiting of movements and access of other staff in the exposure area, and no other patient should be within the examination areas or adjacent corridor or space at any time. Doing portable exams when possible. Patient is imaged with portable equipment in patient room or in isolation. And of course, distancing. RadTech distance himself to staff and patients as possible. The RadTech also allows the nurse or staff in full PPE to assist in the procedure, prohibit accompanying visitors except in cases where a single member of the family or a caregiver is needed for patient's ambulation, understanding, and or cooperation in the examination. In here, the RadTechs played major roles in the strict adherence and implementation of guidelines that includes giving awareness of the new protocols to all the members of the healthcare team in the hospital and also relatives of patients in some cases. And finally, time consideration. All these roles that relate to time reduce equipment cleaning time, PPE use, and potentially exposures to infection. The roles include that all radiology technologists must be decked to render the service except those who are pregnant and immunocompromised, including senior citizens. And the artists take the initiative to sanitize the workspaces, tables, surfaces that are frequently touched at every regular 6 hours with disinfectant supplied by the hospital. And also diligent in wearing, removal, and disposal of the PPEs. Also is the thorough hand washing, bathing, and complete disinfection. Procedures also may be done only during a designated schedule by the department and or after all the scheduled patients of the day. And all efforts are being made to shorten the time in the radiology and the number of visits to the radiology. And also the structured schedule for the staff to provide them with longer periods of day off, allowing the staff members to stay vigilant and observe themselves for symptoms of disease. In closing, in these unusual times, it is more important than ever that the radiology community, the RadTechs, work together so we heal as one. Thank you very much for your attention. Acknowledgements to all the RadTechs who have given their contribution for the completion of this report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vichy Lunar. Please send our thanks to President Bangladesh and all participants in Philippines. Thank you so much, Vichy Lunar again. Yet let keep interest in good team. Yes, thank you so much. Next, would like to invite Ms. Min Koo from Australia. Please share your experience for everybody in the world. Please, Mr. Min Koo.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Lord.
Okay. Yes, I'm here, but you please share in your camera. You share your camera. Yes. No, sorry. No. You click your camera? Oh, okay. Ah, beautiful. Okay, thank you. Please. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Locke and team, for the opportunity to speak this morning. My name is Min Koo. I am speaking on behalf of my society, which is the Australian Society of Medical Imaging and Radiation Therapy. So my presentation is slightly different to everyone's that you've heard this morning. We are talking from the professional body's perspective and how we've been able to help our professionals, our RTs, through these difficult times. So the title of this presentation is Moving Forward in Uncertain Times. So we're talking about a society that represents the whole of Australia. We are a national organisation and we represent all Australian practitioners or medical radiation practitioners. And we have various states, and you can see that we have Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia, Northern Territory is up the top, and we have Western Australia. So we're sort of a small country, but we have lots of different areas, and that will become more important as I talk in a moment. So what's our society about? Our society is talking about the excellence of medical radiation practice for a healthier Australia. And what our job is to do is to provide excellent patient care through leadership in advocacy, education, professional standards, research, and innovation. So you may or may not know that Australia have been very lucky in this whole entire COVID-19 process or pandemic. And if you look at these statistics that are on screen at the moment, we have not had a significant amount as what the rest of the world has seen. So we have been very, very lucky in this country. So you can see that we spiked in March and April, and our government put in some very, very strict state of emergency lockdown procedures, where we are still in those procedures where we have to stay at home, we have to maintain our distance. And the only reason to go out is for healthcare workers to go to work, to go and buy your food, and to go to get any medical attention if required. But you can see that we have not had the types of numbers as we've seen around the world. However, even though we've had those small numbers, as everybody has already said, healthcare workers, because they are at the front line, have had a lot of interactions with this particular virus. And so some of the issues that we've seen here is that we have had private clinics close, we have had practitioners testing positive for the COVID-19 virus, and they've been put into isolation. They've had other hospitals where they've just closed overnight, and which means that all of the patients have to be rescheduled to other organisations in order to have their treatment or to be able to have their scans. Now, one of the issues here is there's an image there of the mask. When I showed you the map of Australia and how we have all these different states, one of the issues in Australia is that every single state has their own state government. And because of the state government, they make different rules. And so if you lived in Queensland versus living in Victoria, there are different rules on healthcare workers and whether or not they have access to the PPE or not. And so we have had practitioners who work in different parts of Australia not have access to the PPE, and they've been told by their organisations that they do not need to wear the PPE. So this is one of the issues that we've been seeing affect our members in the workforce. So the society have had to undertake a number of different solutions to help our members when they're out working in the field. There have been, because of the closures of many of the workplaces, people have seen themselves in financial hardship. So some of their wages have been cut, or they've just been reduced in hours, and other family members of a healthcare worker may just not have a job anymore. So there's been some financial hardship that people have seen, even though our government has assisted in some way with some finances. The society have also negotiated with their members for those who absolutely need it. We've been able to assist them in that regard. Some of the other issues are workforce related, in that people are being asked to stand down from their positions, that they no longer have a position, or they've been asked to work shorter hours or less hours, which means that they don't work the full time that they normally have worked. One of the other issues that we have is we have students who go to university and they come out into the workplace to undertake their clinical practice. So you were talking about the issues this morning about people requiring PPE, undertaking the processes. Have a think about the students that we have here who have to also go out and compound the situation in the workforce. So we've seen a whole lot of students not being able to undertake their clinical practice, and that has also had an impact on the universities who have these students. One of the other things that the society has undertaken is, because there have been people who have been no longer in their jobs, they've been asking for assistance to see if there have been any other hospitals or clinics that require their assistance. So we created a workforce register where they can register with us, and we can then help place them into another hospital in order to assist that other hospital. With our students, to help them along, we've given them free memberships of the society. We've also tried to produce some scholarships or grants to help them while they're doing their university work, especially during this period of time. And we've produced a whole lot of resources to help them with how to navigate the COVID situation in this period of time while they're trying to study as well. One of the other things that we've been doing for our professionals is to assist them with updated news. So one of the things that we've found with this COVID-19 is that a lot of news is happening all the time, and people get very upset because there is so much bad news in the world. And so what we've tried to do is reduce that amount of news for them and put them into a small weekly edition, which is able to be digested in a better way. We've also got a partnership with an organisation called Member Advantage, which allows discounted items and products to help our members as they get through this process of the COVID-19 pandemic. But as a healthcare worker, one of the other requirements that we have in Australia, it's a mandatory requirement, is that we have to undertake continuing professional development. And in order to stay registered, we have to be able to demonstrate that we have kept up with our professional development. So one of the other initiatives that our organisation has done to help practitioners is to provide them articles that are important and of interest, and that will help them as they progress through their daily work. But one of the things that we've recognised in our healthcare workers, and I think all of you have highlighted this morning, is that people are working very hard, and they're working in a different way than they usually would have worked. And I think a lot of these people, because of how they're working, the hours that they're working, they are getting very burnt out, and they're getting very tired. And so some of the things that we've provided are some different types of activities that can help people work through that. So some of them have been, information on how to reduce your fatigue, how to sleep better, how to become more resilient, and access to other resources that will help them during this period of time. One of which is that we run regular webinars like today's event. We run events like this, short and sharp. They're usually an hour long, and they're on different things to help mental health. Because one of the things as a healthcare worker is it's not just about the job itself, it's about the fact that there is some, mental health issues that need to be addressed as well, because people are getting tired, people are getting burnt out. We also have provided other ways that our practitioners can access materials to help them with their professional development, and things like webinars, virtual conferences, classrooms, and courses that they can do whilst we're also in self-isolation. So some of our healthcare workers are in the field working, but some of them are actually working from home, and they're working in self-isolation. So we have a partnership with the Canadians to access some of their materials. The other thing that we have is some publications, and in these publications we also put documents and articles that will help our members, and there's a journal as well that we issue information. So this is our main official magazine, and the most current magazine is talking about people's well-being. And these are some of the articles that we've done. That's the journal. And the last thing that we do is advocate for our practitioners to make sure that, the government is listening to what is required for us. So basically, that's it. Thank you.
What we have for organization, ISRT, Vietnam Society, Myanmar Society, Philippine Society, please send out 10 to in your society and your president in Australia. Thank you so much, Minku. Next, we would like to invite Andrew from Hong Kong. Thank you.
Good afternoon,
Please.
ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to give a presentation here, and thank you for the invitation. My name is Andrew, and I come from Pamela Yoder Ledeso Eastern Hospital in Hong Kong. The hospital locates in Chai Wan and is a major acute hospital serving the Eastern District of Hong Kong Island, which commenced provision of service in 15th of October 1993. To begin the presentation, I would like to update the situation of coronavirus in Hong Kong. Then I will move on to the enhanced measures of hospital authority and our X-ray department. After that, I will share the practice in handling the suspected coronavirus case in accident and emergency department general radiography, and also the confirmed coronavirus case in computer tomography. Here shows the academic curve of confirmed and probable case of coronavirus in Hong Kong. Until now, there are 1,052 confirmed cases and 1 probable case in Hong Kong. The initial case record in January were mostly import or import-related cases. Then, clusters were observed in the local community involving large meal gatherings and other gatherings in February. There was an upsurge in number of coronavirus cases in Hong Kong from mid-March to late March, and this is mainly due to marked increase in import cases, especially returnees from overseas countries. Clusters of locally acquired infections have been reported in public venues, recreational premises since mid-March, including outbreaks in bars, pubs, and karaoke. The number of cases has been decreasing gradually since early April. The hospital authority announced the activation of emergency response level in public hospital on 25th of January. The enhanced measure of hospital authority including first, suspend all visiting arrangements. Secondly, all people are compulsory to wear surgical masks when entering the hospital. Thirdly, all voluntary service and clinical attachment are suspended. Last but not the least, all hospital clusters will be built on emergency service in a view to adjust the service and refocus the resource. Although World Health Organization suggests that masks should only be used if you are taking care of a person with suspected infection or if you are coughing or sneezing, we can exclude the use of masks in preventing the spread of coronavirus in view of the low local spread rate in Hong Kong. There are several enhanced measures in our department. First, to review and provide assessment of washing hands, donning and removing personal protective equipment after raising the response level, which are supposed to be done in an 18-month interval. Staff are recommended to follow guidelines to don and remove the protective equipment step by step as shown in the following poster. Second, to review the N95 respirator fit test. Third, to update the recommended personal protective equipment in every modalities in X-ray department. For normal routine case, a surgical mask is sufficient enough. But with patient that is suspect or confirmed coronavirus, the recommended personal protective equipment should include face shield or goggles, N95 respirator, isolation gown, disposable gloves, and disposable cap for optional use. Fourth, to adjust the number of non-emergency routine cases by reducing 30% of the case number per day. Fifth, to check the potential risks of patients by measuring their temperature, checking their traveling history, and whether they have a close contact with a confirmed coronavirus case. Last but not least, to maintain social distance within the department. In accident and emergency department, those patients with FTOCC positive will be sent to temporary tent and undergo chest X-ray in the airborne infection isolation room. FTOCC refers to fever, travel to an affected area, occupational related, contact of a suspect or confirmed case, and cluster of case detected. The picture here shows the temporary tent which is located near the accident and emergency department. If chest X-ray shows pneumonia or is already suspicious, the patient will directly admit to isolation ward for coronavirus nasopharyngeal swab. If the chest X-ray is normal, the patient will undergo the nasopharyngeal swab and left specimen inside the pressure cubicle. After that, the patient will wait in the temporary tent for the result. The chest X-ray for those FTOCC positive patients takes place in airborne infection isolation room, which has up to 37 air changes per hour by using a portable machine. The radiographer is recommended to wear the full set of personal protective equipment. In order to protect the detector from being infected, disposable plastic bag will be used to cover the detector. After chest X-ray examination, radiographer helps the patient back to the temporary tent and removes the personal protective equipment except the N95 respirator inside the airborne infection isolation room. Then the airborne infection isolation room will be idled for 20 to 30 minutes. After idling, a supportive staff helps to clean the room with a full set of personal protective equipment. 3 signs will be stuck on the door. The first sign shows the time that the room needs to be isolation for. The second sign indicates the X-ray examination is in progress, while the last sign indicates the room has been cleaned or not. The computer tomography room in our department have a negative pressure system with up to 12 air changes per hour. The suspect or confirmed coronavirus case will be performed after office hour. In order to alert the staff in the department, intercom system will be used to announce that there will be an isolation case before, during, and after the examination. Then the wait area will be gone off. Two radiographers will be assigned to do the case. One radiographer goes inside the examination room for positioning, while the other one stays in the control room for scanning. The radiographers again is recommended to wear the full set of personal protective equipment. The door between the examination room and control room will be closed until the examination is being cleaned after examination. When the patient arrives and after the positioning, the contaminated radiographer stay in the waiting area and wait the examination to be finished. When examination is finished and after the patient left, the contaminated radiographer will remove the full set of personal protective equipment except the respirator inside the examination room. After that, The examination room will be idle for at least 35 minutes. After idling, a supportive staff cleans the room with a full set of personal protective equipment. Finally, I would like to thank Mr. Lelson Wan, the chairman of Hong Kong Radiology Association, for helping me sharing information and guidelines. Also, I'd like to thank Mr. Lam Kim Mo for helping me in organizing the content of this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andrew, come from Hong Kong, and thank you, Andrew and your society. Next, we would like to invite Vincent Kuo Wei Wan, come from in Taiwan. Yes. You please share your webcam. Please share your webcam, your camera. Yeah, you please share your webcam. Yeah, you please share your webcam. You please share your webcam. You please share your webcam.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
President?
Yeah, I hear you. Yes, yes.
Okay.
You please share your webcam. You click your webcam.
Okay, hello everyone.
You click camera. You click a camera.
Hello everyone.
Not yet. You
I'm
can
Vincent
click in
Wang, and I
camera.
work for the Lancy Hospital.
Sorry. You can click in your camera. Click in your camera.
Okay.
Not yet. You can off and on again. Yes. Good. Thank you.
Okay,
You
hello,
please.
Vincent Tai.
Yeah,
Thank
please.
you. Yeah, I'm Vincent Wang, and I work for the Lancy International Hospital that located in Taoyuan City, Taiwan. Actually nearby the Taoyuan International Airport. Today, I represent the TWSRT and TMRT to take a brief introduction of prevention and control COVID-19 in Taiwan. First, I would like to talk about the timeline and how Taiwan government faced the coronavirus in the beginning. Actually, in 2019, December 31, the health screening began. Taiwan began screening arriving passengers from Wuhan as they disembark at the airport. And in 2020, January 20th, the Taiwan set up Central Emergency Command Center, we call the CECC, in response to COVID-19. And in 2020, January 21, Taiwan confirmed first case. In January 21, a Taiwanese passenger arriving from Wuhan test positive for the disease that the World Health Organization later named COVID-19. Yeah. And in 2020, January 26, the entry of Chinese tourists restrict. The entry restriction begin with a visit from China's Hubei province during the Lunar New Year's holiday. And in 2020, January 6, the mask rationing begins.
Okay. Sorry, we changed we went in Taiwan. Maybe in his internet signal to very poor, very poor. Okay.
The government requires
We
all
said
surgical masks for Taiwan and its resident break. And in January 11, alert expect Taiwan advice against travel to Hong Kong and Thailand because break those nations in the listed early of the next January 2, 2020, the room team to Ministry of China. Yet on January 2020, level 3 of the Central Epidemic Command CDC was established to integrate resources the epidemic and prioritize the novel virus. There are some rules. Person want to cross muscle wearing if you the man not to enter, and then every body set criteria function greater or equal to 37 centimeters, and the ear temperature greater to 38 centimeters. It's not who may allow to enter her, but even this year, because the screening and third everyone must today if the condition is no allowed hospital. You may how to check Taiwan everything has screens. This card read that next, and we may see the individual. Yes, see the screen at the all the pain measure. Normal temperature with accident degree temperature centigrade, and every patient must fulfill the screening sheet and check the foreign day traveling history and the respiratory tract symptoms and fever. If all the condition is no, you may allow use the routine procedure. If the condition is yes, you must measure the vital sign. And next, patient wait outside the emergency room, not allowed to enter the hospital. And fever patient wait for lab test and X-ray exam. And next, patient family tax screening sheet and health insurance IC card make the registration. And the patient must take a chest X-ray on mobile X-ray vehicle. In the right side of the slides, we may see the X-ray, and the screening station is outside the emergency room. And when the chest X-ray finished, the image delivered to the hospital is PET system. Okay, next we back to the radiology department. In this slide, we may see the X-ray vehicle examination and sterilize process. And actually, the radiographer's personal protect equipment, we use a flu-resistant gown and N95 mask, eye protection, and hair cap. Once you take chest exam, when you finish the X-ray exam, you must use the 5% bleach solution and gauze to sterilize the cases. And next, use the 5% bleach solution and gauze to sterilize the adjacent area after every case. And when the portable X-ray examination, still the same with the radiographer PPE, the stand, flu-resistant gown, and 95 mask, eye protection, and the hair cap. And once take a X-ray, then the radiographer must use the 5% bleach solution and gauze to sterilize the cassette. And after that, still use the 5% bleach solution and gauze to sterilize the portable X-ray machine after every case. And this slide, we must see the flowchart of the computed tomography. The PPE is still the same, and after all the case, the radiographer must use the 5% bleach solution and gauze to sterilize portable X-ray machine. Okay, that's about the radiographer part. And next, we talk about the radiographer's PPE. The table shows in the beginning of the epidemic, the radiographer standard PPE include N95 mask, flu repellent gown, But we all know the flu-repellent gun is worse than the flu-resistant gun. So the president of the TAMRT, Mr. Du, and the legislator, Mr. Chu, to ask the government to give enough PPE for radiographer, and the CDC accept that. And next, the president asked the government to give incentive payment for radiographer. Yeah, it worked. It really worked. But I still did not get any payment now. Okay. Yes, Taiwan government remind the citizen must pay attention on wear a surgical mask when coughing or sneezing, and wash hand thoroughly with soap, and avoid crowded place, include hospital. And remember to maintain social distance. If you are outdoor, you must keep 1 meter or more. If you are indoor, you must keep 1.5 meter or more. Yeah, the current situation in the global, already 4 million more confirmed case, and already have 290 deaths in the global. But in Taiwan, there only 440 confirmed cases and 7 deaths. Till now, already have 375 recovery. Almost 1 month have no local confirmed case till now. Yeah. Finally, after the hard work of all the medical staff and citizen cooperation in Taiwan, I'm so proud of that the Taiwan's epidemic rate under control, and the Taiwan's Chinese Professional Baseball League is currently on pro baseball league, the only program already permission to let fans back in the stadium. In light of Taiwan's success of COVID-19, offshore have agreed to allow 1,000 fans into a game this Friday. I wish that the epidemic will be under control soon. Okay.
Thank you so much, Vincent Kuo. Thank you so much. Please stand out. Thanks to in TWSRT and TAMRT in Taiwan. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Next, we would like to invite Miss Cora in Macau. Miss Cora in Macau. Yeah, Vincent Kuo, you please up. Yes.
Okay.
Cora.
Yes, hello.
Yeah, you can. You open first. Waiting login. You open. You share your camera. Good. Wait your presentation. You wait.
So did you see my camera?
Yes, I see you. Good. Beautiful.
Okay. Okay, let's start.
You wait in your present. Yeah, your PPT.
Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Your PPT.
Okay. Good morning,
Yeah.
everybody. My name is Cora. I'm from Macau Radiological Technologists Association. Today is so glad to have a chance to share with you about the experience for how to protect the safety for radiological technologists in COVID-19 in Macau. So in my presentation, I will divide it into 4 main parts. That when we cope with this kind of the pandemic, which kind of the actions we have to be take for fighting it. First part is the action taken hospital-wide in the whole hospital, and the second is how's the action taken in the radiological department, because we are RT and we stay in a radiological department. So which action will be taken in the radiology department is important. And the third part is the action taken by any one of the individual. That means personal protection taken by individual. And last but not least, the discussion and the conclusion. So first part of my presentation is to tell you which action can take in the whole hospital. That means the action taken hospital-wide. So we have to think about a question first. That means whether the hospital you are working in is an epidemic one. In my answer, because in this presentation, I just shared the experience in the hospital I'm working in for you. So my hospital is an epidemic one, so my answer is yes. So for our experience, after we know that the pandemic is going to be happen, we start the triage system in our ER. And then secondly, all high-risk patients will be diverted to the a special emergency department. That means another side of the ER that especially for the infectious disease patient. And then third, we will start all the negative pressure wards used as the isolation wards. And then fourth, we still continue to provide the general medical service in the clean zone of our hospital. That means the OPD or another service in, for example, in the radiology department, etc. So for an epidemic hospital, in my hospital, a special ER department has been set up 70 years ago. All the high-risk patients are separated from other patients. That in this way we can avoid any cross-infection between them. And then we have one main concept in this presentation is that please remember, we have to keep good communication and collaboration between various departments in your hospital. I make an example. We always need good advice from the infection control committee or team in your hospital. For example, for guiding you which kind of the best PPE you have to be wearing to fighting on this kind of the pandemic, or any guidelines for the disinfection after you cope with the cases, etc. And secondly, for us, if we cope with the cases for the COVID-19, we mainly will cooperate with the with the ER. So in the ER, maybe we need to do good cooperation with them. For example, when we cope with an suspicion patient, we don't know whether he or she have the COVID-19 infected or not. We have to be run a smooth procedure when we solve with this kind of the case. So we have to do a good collaboration with other department in the hospital, not only for the radiology department or not only for the RTs. So it can we just work like a chain. So in this way we can omit any spread out within the hospital. So third part is for us, our infection control committee always protect the annual infection control training and personal protective equipment, that means the PPE training and assessment for all the staff in our hospital. So next, we move to the action taken in the radiology department. So when we know that the pandemic is going to be happen, which action going to be taken in the department is better. First, we will start up the dirty team. That means team members, team of our colleagues, especially to cope with the cases for the infection disease. And this time, they have to be cope with the cases correlated with the COVID-19. And secondary, we will do a quick review on the consumable materials inventory within our department. And this is also a very important component in keep us safety, because you have to make sure your department or the whole hospital have enough stock for the epidemic used consumable material. For example, any kind of the mask, for example, N95 or surgical mask, and then the face shield or the protective gown, etc. Because some case of the hospital outbreak or the infections between the healthcare workers cause of the lack of PPE. As you know, some countries happen this disaster. So, by the way, our hospital's warehouse always ensure that their consumables for pandemic use are stored sufficient for 3 months use. So I think this part is quite important. So third one is we make a quick check for all the X-ray machines, CT, and other equipments that can be used for the cope with the pandemic. So since 2003, some relatively fixed X-ray equipment have been set up in either the isolation wards and the special ER in our hospital for us to cope with the cases for infection disease, not only for the COVID-19, but for previously we have the experience for the MERS or even longer time for the SARS, etc. That can reduce the risk of the cross-infection happen. So we also review any guidelines for the procedures for how to cope with how to do a COVID-19 CT smoothly and how to cope with the X-ray examination up to the disaster. Other than checking the stock and the consumables, we also provide internal training for our radiologists, frontline radiological technologists, nurses, and even our healthcare assistants, especially on the infection control training and the PPE training, and also for an assessment on it. And afterwards, we will review the infection control and the PPE assessment for our staffs to assess whether somebody needs to be trained again or to strengthen the training. Make sure they are well known of the best way to wear the PPE, the proper way to wear, and which kind of PPE is suitable for this kind of the outbreak, etc. So first, we have been to explain to our colleague about the characteristics of this kind of the infection disease. For example, for COVID-19, it is so we have to be held a briefing to all of our staffs in responsible to it to ensure them have the relevant protective measures and precaution up to it. And they all well known about, for example, the imaging findings of this kind of the disease and the relative personal protective guidelines up to it, etc. So, as we know that we have to keep social distance, right? So everyone entering our hospital, not only for the visitors, but also the patients or our healthcare workers, etc., the staff, all including our department, must wear a mask. And then we will place the alcohol-based hand rub everywhere in the hospital or in our department for the use of our staffs and the patients. So we also set up, that means we can build up more hygiene working environment for our staffs and the visitors and the patients. And good for keeping us safe. So second part is we will set up specific waiting areas for our patients to separate both inpatients and from the outpatients in order to reduce any happening of the risk of cross-infection. And then another important part is that to maintain a proper social distance. So we will maintain a social distance between people passing by, such as we increasing the distance between the seats in the waiting area, etc. So this picture shows how we do the internal training for our staff and the PPE training, etc. And we also make a video for our staff for how to do the CT smoothly and the disinfection procedure about it. And this is our dirty teammates. They do a hard job. So always remember to use a properly PPE and wear it in a sequence. Wear it properly and remove it carefully. That can protect you. So for the action taken by the individual, always remember to wash your hands, properly wear a mask, and in Macau, the government have a guaranteed mask supply for Macau resident scheme. The scheme can can guarantee our citizens have a mask daily to change, so that in Macau there's no any social outbreak happen. So for discussion and conclusion, always remember to proper wearing and careful removal of your PPE that can protect safety of the RTs when coping with the COVID-19, and always familiar with the operating procedures that can avoid any mistake can efficiently guarantee the safety of the RTs. And then effective triage work in the ER can protect a safe working environment for us. Also, remember, good communication and collaboration between various departments can effectively guarantee the safety of all of us, not only for RT. And set up of dirty team and clean team can avoid any cross-infection among staffs. So this is my reference. Please stay safe and thank you for attention.
Yeah, please send our thanks to President Fernando Koch in Macau and our member in Macau. And thank you so much again, Mr. Cora in Macau. Thank you so much. You on the way, the high level, in your member on the way high level. Now, we introduce President in Malaysia, Sawan Maset. Please. Here.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you, Mr. Tavanlo.
Yes, thank you. I see you. You wait a moment. Wait a moment for in your slide. Yes, we are not upload in your slide, your PPT.
Yeah, I saw my slide already.
You can say hi everybody now.
Hello, hi. Thank you, Mr. Rock, and thank you for the invitation for the...
Yeah, President Malaysia.
Okay, thank you. So,
yeah.
As for the COVID-19 pandemic in Asia, you know that we are having so much some cases that and maybe I am just sharing most of the department protocol has been discussed with other countries as well. So, but I just overall overview of pandemic COVID-19 in Malaysia, which is started in January 2020 and this is detected from the travelers in Hubei in China. So the first reported mainly relatively low and were largely confined. And the larger cluster was linked religious gathering in end of February and early March, which is leading massive spike of another few weeks has recorded the largest cumulative numbers of confirmed COVID-19 in Southeast Asia. That is not that we should be proud of, but that is what happening in Malaysia at that moment, and reaching our mark in active can of equipment detect and monitor cases. We are having short of PPEs. In the beginning of our pandemic, our countries, and the measures to combat the outbreak were later announced by the Prime Minister of Malaysia via the national telecast on the 13th of March. And then by the 16th, the nationwide movement control order. And some of us saying that this is this partial lockdown, which is intended to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. Social distance was allowed at first. The subsidy was announced until now is extended by the Prime Minister to 9 of. So it's 3 months from the beginning of the outbreak. So this is the as for March, the COVID-19 have since latest that we have for the COVID-19 this year, we had the latest numbers of the total numbers of cases in Malaysia as yesterday's is about 6,855, and the total numbers of death is now increased to 112. And then the total of COVID cases is about 3%. It's almost 80% recovered, and 39 cases is already recovered. So in Malaysia, so far, and the fatality rate is only 1.65. It's only 112 as per yesterday's latest news. So this is the one. And for the role and safety of radiology technologies, mostly is already discussed by our fellow countries, other countries previously. So in Malaysia, we don't have any difference from other countries as well. And we know that while radiology might be the typical view as frontliner clinical department when it comes to infectious disease, as a frontliner, when coming into the development, what's called radiology to identify about the check. Mobile imaging radiology buying, so-called a panic buying of the mobile X-rays, which is government giving. Government of Malaysia is giving the special budget to buy and equipment for an imaging equipment, mainly for the mobile X-rays. So the radiology department were highly trafficked with inpatient and outpatient, febrile and non-febrile patient, and any breach in this infection prevention and control mechanism in radiology department has far-reaching consequences. This is what is discussed by our fellow from Macau just now. So it's more to infection prevention, where we involve the infection control team come into the picture as well for the share their experience in radiology department. Okay, to cater the adjust situation, there is a few changes need to be done by the department, which is alteration in workflow to help the patient and staff avoid unnecessary contact, relocation of resources in order to facilitate mobile imaging requests, and enhance prevention and control measures. Okay, institute a shift system or split team to ensure continuity with mirrored skill mix in each team as far as possible. So we're having, normally they call it the team A and team B, which is a shift system. So allow radiology services to continue uninterrupted in every day, and even any group had to be quarantined, and delay of non-urgent imaging to increase the capacity, and back up all call system to cover staff illness. So this has happened when the beginning of the pandemic. I think the first month of the pandemic, some of the radiology staff in certain hospitals, I think about 2 or 3 hospitals, they got infected. Infected is not because of their workplace, but infected from outside of the workplace. So some of them has been quarantined. It is a quite bad situation in certain hospital, because the numbers of RTs available at their place. Okay. So this is the PPEs used by our RTs in Malaysia, and is a similar to other countries, which is we have the basic PPEs, and some is very complicated PPEs when we are used for the confirmed COVID-19 cases. Okay, and at the beginning, this is what we are using. We are certain other our fellow countries just now is not covering their facilities such as CT scan, but in Malaysia we are covering it with the very simple things before we follow the procedure of disinfected. Okay, certain scanners were dedicated only to high-risk cases and patients in isolation, and cases to the radiology department was strictly limited. Okay, this is to avoid the workspace in order to decentralize workers and the equipment. Okay, the set of policies regulated directly to emergency department to achieve sufficient capacity for continuing healthcare emergency on unprecedented proportion to support the care of patient, and the guideline of management has come out. The government has come up with the guideline. This is updated since 6 February. So the policy include the combination of the management. So all the component determined equipment standard set by the government, and as well as the radio. Okay. This is the PPEs done by the RTs in Malaysia, and this is what we are having. This is before and after. You can see the sweating of the RTs. Okay, and Malaysian Society of Radiographers also have come out of the statement of supporting our members to the issue, and that is the overview of what RTs and what is done by government to curb the pandemic in Malaysia. And thank you very much.
Thank you, President. Someone Marsas in Malaysia. Thank you, President. You please camera.
Okay, I'm trying to turn on my camera.
You please on camera. Yeah, yes. Turn on camera. Not yet. You can off again and on again.
Okay. Wait for a moment.
You click off and click on again.
Here we can see.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Can see. Yeah. Sorry, you wait. We upload in your PPT a little bit. You can say hi, everybody.
Okay, how are we ready? I hope that all of you can hear me clearly. Today I'm so thankful for this great opportunity. Can I start now or still waiting? I can see my presentation here. Can I start?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Okay, thank you for everyone. I'm so thankful for this great opportunity. And before I start, let me introduce myself first. My name is Ismail Nurwahini. I come from Indonesia. And today on this online forum, I would like to share about my experience as a radiographer at COVID-19 emergency hospital in my country. Of course, regarding to the high intake rules and safety of radiology technologies will be on the topic also. And without any reason, I'm just like this sentence become my highlight on this online forum. It is about caring ourselves while caring others at Atatis Village Emergency Hospital of COVID-19 in Indonesia. And during this sharing time, I will provide you with some focused discussion topics such as timeline of the COVID-19 pandemic in Indonesia, and then get to know about the emergency hospital of COVID-19, also about emergency hospital facilities itself, and especially about radiology department, and how about safety procedure of a radiographer during chest X-ray, then safety procedure of patient during chest X-ray examination, and the last one, of course, about personal protective equipment at emergency hospital. Now I will share to you the timeline of COVID-19 pandemic in my country, Indonesia. To illustrate this point, please take a look to the graph. This graphic shows you overall COVID-19 cases in my country. The yellow one you can see here, it's our total case in my country. It reached out 12,000 cases, and then the red one is active cases. Until now, it reached out 9,000 active cases, and the blue one is the recovered case. It reached out 2,000 cases, but the black one is decreased cases. It reached 100 cases. Shown that by today, my country is around 17,000 cases. This data come from Indonesian National Board of Disaster Management that on 2nd March 2020, Indonesia confirmed the first 2 cases, and since that time, the number of positive cases has been increased quickly to the date. And then in specific data show us that how fast this COVID-19 virus increased per day. More than 300 to 400 new cases has confirmed every day in my country. And as we all already know that Indonesia currently has the highest mortality rate in Asia. It's between 8 to 9%. Here the graphic shows us this fatality rate in Indonesia, and it's continued to decrease even though it has not yet stable. But the good news is fatality or survival per day or recovery rate per day also increased in my country. And because of Indonesia as an archipelago country, and these maps show us the distribution of COVID-19 cases in my country. Here you can see that Jakarta as the capital city has the most highest confirmed case by May 5, 2020. And the timeline in the previous slide become a reason of my country to have an emergency hospital of COVID-19. And in this section, I will let you know about the hospital called Athletics Village Emergency Hospital of COVID-19. And actually, this Athletics Village was originally built and used for 2018 Asian Games, which co-hosted by Indonesia, especially Jakarta. This building, you can see here, we have 7 towers, and now 4 of them is converted as a hospital. And if all of 7 towers is ready to launch, it will be accommodate around 22,000 patients in there. And due to the safety reasons, due to the safety reason, this hospital divided into the 3 zones. The first one is green zone, used for COVID-19 handling task force, and everyone in this green zone is required to wearing face mask. And the second one is yellow zone. The yellow zone is used for doctor and paramedic rooms, and this area is required for us to use a face mask and hand screen. And the last one is the red zone. Red zone is used for hospital itself and required personal protective equipment or PPE complete level 3. And here in the presentation, you can see the location of emergency hospital at Jakarta, the capital city of Indonesia. And for your information, that for May 7, 2020, around 723 patients were treated at this emergency hospital. And in the beginning, Atetis Village Emergency Hospital reserved for patients with mild and moderate symptoms, but now it's still processing for become a referral hospital for COVID-19. Okay, now we get into the facilities of the hospital. Indonesian government decided Atetis Village to be emergency hospital since 23 March 2020. Which is, it was 21 days after the first case confirmed. Here are some facilities that we have at emergency hospital, such as emergency department, intensive care unit, of course. We have high care unit, laboratory and pharmacy department, and our department radiology. And of course, we also have isolation room for patient under monitoring. And especially for radiology department, there are some modality that we have. Here we have 3 units of mobile X-ray system, and then we also have CR system, DR and PACS system, and soon we will have CT scan that on process installations. Because we can have a high expectation about the radiologist room or radiology department. Here that we see the situation and condition of radiology department of emergency hospital in my country. Here we have CM that was we have to deliver the expertise of the doctor. And at the emergency hospital, we have medical physics. Here we can see that our medical physics is doing a test to make sure that our mobile system X-ray is ready to operate every day. And then let's move on the next point about safety procedure of radiographer during chest X-ray. And I would like to say that what will I share, maybe there is a thing that not in line with the standard operational procedure because it's an emergency hospital with emergency situation, of course, and we can have high expectation about the radiology team or radiology department. Here we have 6 portable shielding because we don't have a radiology room covered by radiology. So we set these 6 portable shielding on the mobile system. And we have side, you can see that we have lead apron also. Total we have 4 lead apron, and we with radiation monitor. And because it was emergency hospital, government hiring paramedic as a volunteer, and then is me. It's not easy to hire volunteer. So in radiology department, we only have 7 technologists in the beginning, and this volunteer is bonding for 30 days of working and continues to 14 days of quarantine. So in total, we have been stay at 44 days at emergency hospital. Because of the limitations of the technologies, we divided working shift into a 4 shift, morning, night, and on-call shift, just in case there is an emergency examination. Here, the green one is the morning shift, and the yellow one is on-call shift, and the night shift labeled as the black one, and the orange is afternoon shift. 2 persons for each shift, except the on-call will be single fighter, and every shift, morning, afternoon, and night, we spend around 5 to 6 hours, and for on-call shift, we spend around 8 hours working. And in the time of shift, we split the job days. For example, when I stay on the CR to do the post-processing, and at the same time, my partner is doing the chest examination. It will be go on for 15 to 20 patients continuously. And if we want to switch, we should do hand hygiene first with hand swab, then change one of my hand screw with the new one, because we usually wear double hand screw for safety reasons. And from our side, this way will minimize the contamination to our system, CR or mobile X-ray system. Next, regarding to the safety procedure of patient during examination, we do routine system disinfectant. Here you can see that my partner doing disinfectant for bulky stent and for the cassette or imaging plate. Or sometime if we need to do examination on the bed because of the condition of patient, we should cover this imaging plate with infection work cover. And because the regulation of the government, everyone who suspecting themselves to be positive or negative COVID-19, everyone should call center of emergency hospital to share their condition. Then the call center man will be guide you to go to the hospital whether or not. And the last and the most important is personal protective equipment. Of course, based on regulation and standard operational procedure, we have this kind of PPE. The first one, we of course coverall hazmat, hand screw, and 95 mask, shoe cover, boot, hair cap, and a Google. About how to use or how to wear this PPE, I think it will be similar with the other country, but we have the special one in emergency hospital because it provided by the government and supported by police and army in Indonesia. So for the contamination, we have CBRN personal team and CBRN system or chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear defense. So it makes sure us for keep safety after doing our jobs at radiology.
You please go to the end slide.
Yes. Okay. I think I would like to finish this sharing time with this inspiring quote that our human compassion binds us the one to the others, not in pity or patronizingly, but as human beings who have learned how to turn our common suffering into hope for the future. Okay, I certainly appreciate to have opportunity to present to you all. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention. From Indonesia. Keep safe and keep healthy.
You present our thanks to President Yulianto in Indonesia. Thank you so much, Wahini. Thank you so much, Wahini. Now, we would like to invite Dr. Napapong Ponnatan, Vice President ISRT Asia and Australia. He also in Thailand. Today, he specialist. He speaks 20 minutes. The first 10 minutes, he introduced and he shares some his experience in COVID-19 for RT in Thailand. And the second 10 minutes, he talked something information that he update for some information from ISRT for everybody. Napapong Ponnatan, please. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Locke. You hear me clearly?
Clear, very clear.
Right,
yes.
Good. First of all, I would like to say hi to everyone, and we know that this year is pretty difficult year for us, not not only for the AA region, but across the world. So the last time that we met, probably back in January in Chiang Mai, Thailand, during the Thai Society Congress that we met each other, and it doesn't look to me that we're going to meet anytime soon in person. So this online platform is very, very good idea. And I have to thank you, Locke, and then the Vietnam Society, the Myanmar and the Philippines, and also GE for having this platform. The presentation here is about what we have done so far in Thailand in terms of COVID-19 pandemic and the role of the radiological technologists in my country. So we talk a bit about Thailand and current situation of COVID and challenge of the radiological technologies in Thailand and some solution provided by different organizations in my country, and then the way forward. So my talk, I won't touch too much into detail how you're gonna wear the PPE, the mask, and things like that. But I will share you some experience that we had, what we have faced, and that gave us a big challenge, because we have to look into our current situation and the training of the profession in our country. So Thailand is situated in the center of Southeast Asia mainland. So what you can see is that as the middle of the mainland Southeast Asia, we have border with numbers of countries. Oops. All right. So we have now 69 million people in Thailand. I will call RT now because radiological technology is pretty long to talk. So the first training program for our RT was founded in 1965. So it is 55 years ago. And currently, with almost 70 million people in my country, we only have 5,000 licensed technologists in Thailand, so we have serious shortage. In Thailand, overall, our healthcare system in both public and private sectors, we have about close to 2,000 hospitals. And from those 2,000 hospitals, 198 hospitals are currently, they don't have RTs working in the hospital. So this is pretty much a serious situation that we are facing with. So the healthcare profile of Thailand, as I mentioned before, our population is close to 70 million people, with half of them live in the city. And then we are still in upper middle income countries. So in terms of coronavirus, since I sent this PowerPoint 2 days ago, the data was based on WHO Thailand data. Our Ministry of Public Health submit the data to WHO every day, and I believe every country also do it. So back in 13th of May, 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, we have been having that was the first time in Thailand that we have 0 new infected cases. So it was the first time. We have had the new cases less than 10. The number less than 10 for about 2 weeks already. I will show you the graph later, how the situation looks like. So total active cases, infected cases is around 3,000. And also for they have in 120 patients remaining in the hospital. That means when the pandemic came in, we felt quite worried, because when the city of Wuhan, they start to shut down, majority of the tourists from China, when they fly outside China, they fly to Bangkok or Phuket. So we were so worried at that time that we might have a surge in terms of number of infected patients, but luckily we could manage well in terms of controlling the pandemic. So at the moment, numbers of hospitals that we prepared special ward to treat this COVID-19 patients, they start to shut down already because some of the hospital may have 1 or 2 patients left. So that the separate building that we prepare for the special care ward, they have to shut it down. But still we still think about the second wave of infection. In this hemisphere near the equator, at the moment it is summer. So the peak summer in Thailand is in March and April. So luckily it's very hot. Temperature on the ground may reach 50 to 60 degrees, while the temperature in general is about 38 to 40 degrees in Thailand at the moment. So it's very hot. Maybe the virus doesn't like it. But in August, when the northern hemisphere people, you guys have peak summer, we in this area, it's our rainy season when the flu season, the regular flu season comes in. So at that time, if the flu season comes in, the regular flu season, on top of that, we have the second surge of this COVID-19, we may be in trouble because normally we have a lot of number of people infected with the flu season already. So if you look at the situation, when we first report, we had the first patient, infected patient, and then most of them were the Chinese tourists coming in the country. And we have like 2 clusters for these infections. First one are from those tourists, and then the taxi driver would get infected. And the second cluster, which infect quite a number of us, came from the boxing stadium. So we had one person came back from Italy at that time, and he was positive for this virus, and he sat in this boxing stadium that was very crowded, and then the infection was very high. But if you look into this graph, you can see that quite okay to say that Thailand, we finished the first wave already, because most numbers that appears here, most likely almost all of them are imported cases, not the internal infected cases. So lucky that from this week we relaxed the measures for social distancing, and tomorrow our shopping malls will be open. So I am quite happy so that I can go out again. For the spotlight, I mentioned that already, so I'm not going to go through it. So what I'm going to talk about is the challenge for the RTs in Thailand. The thing is, this COVID-19 is brand new disease with little knowledge of the Thai RTs, and the main concerns are infection control and manpower allocation. As I mentioned, 2,000 hospitals with 5,000 technologists is not enough. So the problem is, when the first pandemic came in, the COVID-19 pandemic came in, we were so worried because the first hospital that we sent most of the first batch infected patient in was the National Infectious Disease Hospital. I am the president of the board for technologists in Thailand, so I was informed by the ministry that my colleague in that hospital has trouble because they only have like 12 to about 15 technologists, and most of them could not go back home. They have to work 24 hours shift. Maybe they rotate somehow, but they felt so worried to go back home that they might take the virus back to infect their family. So at that time, what we worried was that how can we do to help for our colleague. So what we discussed with the ministry is that we might have to call in those retired RTs and also those teachers in university like me to go back to practice. So, but that did not happen. So I prayed. It doesn't mean that I don't want to go to practice. I do some practice, but in the reality, if the situation is well under control, our manpower is still okay with this kind of situation. So the problem that we found at first was that at first phase, we did not really have the international or national guidelines. At that time, you know that ISRT, we worked together with the World Health Organization coming up with numbers of documents, but at that time we did not have anything regarding this new virus. We didn't know how normally this virus would be infected with the people. Is it's going to be droplet or it's going to be aerosol? a lot of debating. So in terms of the artists in my country, a lot of us, we didn't feel safe if we did not have the N95 mask. Normally at that time, we have serious shortage of the surgical mask and N95 mask. So what the hospital infection control committee in general, what they did was that they gave the N95 mask to doctors and nurses first because they have higher chance to get infected. So what the technologists got was basically the surgical mask with goggle or the face shield. So based on WHO, as long as this is the droplet, we are quite safe. But luckily, even so we practiced like that all along, we did not have any RTs in Thailand get infected with the coronavirus. So what else? We have solutions by different organizations. The Thai Society of Radiological Technologists, TSRT, we formed a COVID-19 Facebook group. Facebook is quite popular in Thailand. So currently we have roughly about 4,000 members. So since we have 5,000 registered RTs and that the members in this Facebook group is 4,000, I think most of, maybe close to 100% of the technologists working in the clinical setting were the member, because maybe those other 1,000 they shift to other profession or they become something else. They decided not to practice anymore. And the Thai Society and the board, which I'm a president, and TSRT, Mr. Sala is the president, we joined together and are the main organization that provide knowledge, guidelines, and help to the Thai RTs. Knowledge, of course, what we did was we came up with the video clip showing the profession how to wear the PPE, the mask, how you fit the N95 mask, how would you clean the portable X-rays, CT rooms, and things like that. And then the guidelines came out later based on ISRT and WHO guidelines. And other help is that since we have shortage of PPEs, and the masks. So what TSRT did was that we got quite a lot of donation. So we pledged for donation, and then a lot of people gave us donation in terms of money, especially our friends, the vendors. They gave us quite lump sum of money so that we could manage to buy the N95 masks and some PPEs, and then we sent to our friends in need. And also TSRT also provide COVID-19 insurance for our member. Basically, the Thai Society, we invest quite a lot of money. Basically, the money that we made from Chiang Mai conference in January, we just dumped to this COVID-19 insurance for our member. It's okay, we just give back to our member. So our member were so happy that we get extra coverage in terms of medical insurance. And also what we did was, like, this is from our website, so it's in Thai. We have guidelines and recommendations and also video clip telling the members what to do in terms of infection control in radiology. We have documents so that our members can download. And also we collaborate with the government. This is the Prime Minister. This is Prime Minister of Thailand, Mr. Prayut, and this is Mr. Sala. So we join together. This is the Minister of Public Health. We have private sectors. They donate another set of money for providing health insurance for medical staff, including medical doctors, nurse, radiological technologists, laboratory technologists. So these four main professions got extra health insurance from the government so that when we get infected, we have extra help. Normally we get covered by national insurance scheme anyway, but extra help mean you can have more comfort room to stay, or you can have extra money to get things that you need during that time. And if in case of unfortunate case that our member died from this infection during their work, there will be money, quite large amount of money for their family. So this is the Facebook group that we have. So every day people comes in, and then I link the information. My team and I link the information to this Facebook group. And what else we have is that we have the webinar every week, joined with the Princess Chulalongkorn Royal College. We have COVID-19 radiology disruption. This is the collaboration among radiologists, technologists, and other related professions. So we have different episodes. Say the first episode we talk about current situation, and then we talk about infection control, and then we talk about education and training, future trends, and then tomorrow we're going to have the guru from infection control doctors and also some engineers and to come to discuss about how to plan for the radiology department in terms of infection control, not only for COVID-19 but also for other pandemic disease that we have experienced so far, like SARS, like MERS, or avian flu infection, and also tuberculosis, which is very prevalent in my country still. And we have this this is the bag, we call like the tube, so that we can seal the patient inside. This is negative pressure, so the virus will not come out. This one recently one company designed and then provide to us. This is easy for infection control because we don't have to wrap up the CT room. The patient will be prepared from the ward, and the capsule is big enough so that when we perform chest CT, patient can lift the hand up. This is Mr. Bunchai, our treasurer of TSRT. So he's the chief technologist of this Chulalongkorn Hospital. So what we plan is that we can manage to have 2 to 3 of these in different big hospitals, because not all hospitals are fortunate enough to have different, like allocated CT room or allocated chest X-ray room just for COVID patient. If you mix with other patient, then infection control can be a challenge. With this capsule, it helps a lot. So the patient will be prepared from the ward, and then after the scan, the patient will be taken out from the ward, and the disinfection will be done at the ward, not with us at the X-rays department. The way forward, we believe Thailand just passed the first wave of infection. Luckily, we managed quite well in terms of infection control. Even we are the country that has the most numbers of Chinese tourists from Wuhan at that time. We could manage, maybe lucky, maybe from actually our healthcare system. We have health volunteer. These people are very, very good. In all the villages, we have health volunteer. What do? We have millions of them. So that in case infection, like suspected person came in the village, that person needs to report to this guy, right? So these people will take a look and take care and get the data, get information of these suspected cases, and then control them to stick to the homestay notification for 14 days and things like that. So we are quite successful. And luckily, no Thai technologist was found infected with this coronavirus. And what we found was that since our training is more scientific approach, so like the first 2 years we learned a lot of science, physics, and engineer and whatever. In terms of infection control, when I have discussed with the radiologists and other profession, the doctors, well, doctors in general, the nurses, the physiotherapists, when we are talking about infection control, they're okay, they calm down, they know what to do. But comes to the RTs, we scream like, what to do? Do we need this mask? Do we need this and we need that? So look back into our training, education and training. I think we need more focus on infection control now, so that we prepared so that they are well prepared for this. And more on top of that, manpower. Sorry for typing over here. The manpower, we are in the process of producing more RTs, and from this year we will manage to produce about 500 RTs per year, which within 10 years maybe is enough for us. And proper allocation, because at the moment our graduates, they prefer to stay in the cities but not small community hospital where 200 of those hospitals they don't have technologists. So this is what I want to share in terms of coronavirus situation in my country, and these are the board management of the Thai Society of Radiological Technologists. And after this, I would like to just briefly, I know that we run out of time, I would just talk a little bit update for the ISRT activities in AA region. As I mentioned, I would like again to thank Vietnam Society, Mr. Locke, Philippine Society, Mr. Banyares, Myanmar Society, Mr. Hin Mern Chin. Normally you guys do your own conference, but this time you extend to other members also, and also GE to provide this platform. So with this situation, when we cannot, even I want to, I have not flown for 2 months. I'm dying because normally I flew every month. We at least can meet each other online and we can discuss what's going on and see what kind of collaboration we can do when new normal comes in that we cannot meet. I am quite positive that we will come up with something good like regional webinars. I will talk to all the presidents in the region. Maybe we conduct some seminars online so that our member can come in to learn together. So you send expert from your country, we can discuss about the topics. All right, and then we allocate the time. For the broadcast platform, we can come up with something, either a Zoom meeting or we collaborate with vendors so that they can provide us the platform, and that those can be possible too. And on top of that, as you might have heard already, that the World Congress in Dublin this year will be postponed to 17 to 21st of August in 2021 in Dublin again, and that will not affect the 2022 World Congress that's going to be held in Bangkok, Thailand. So we're going to have back-to-back World Congress, but again, it's okay. It's good. We meet anyway. So likely the council meeting and the regional meeting will not happen this year. We're going to meet next year. Meanwhile, we're going to meet online. We may. I'm so happy that we get the extra coverage in terms of. And other matters is that next year anyway, I think next year the travel restriction might be easier for us to fly. We will have AACRT in Japan, so we can discuss something there also. Again, I would like to thank everyone for joining us, and we come together